You almost can't name a good deal. I agree. She's got experience, but it's bad experience. And this country can't afford to have another 4 years of that kind of experience.
We are at the final question.
One thing, Lester, is, you know, he tried to switch from looks to stamina. But this is a man who has called women pigs, slobs, and dogs, and someone who has said pregnancy is an inconvenience to employers, who has said women don't deserve equal pay unless they do as good a job as men. And one of the worst things he said was about a woman in a beauty contest. He loves beauty contests, supporting them and hanging around them. And he called this woman Miss Piggy. Then he called her Miss Housekeeping because she was Latina. Donald, she has a name.
Where did you find
her
this?
name
Where
is
did you find
Alicia
this?
Machado.
Where did you find
and
it?
she has become a U.S. citizen, and you can bet she's going to vote this November.
Okay, good. Let me just tell you.
Mr. Trump, if you take 10 seconds, and then we're going to have the final question.
Hillary is hitting me with tremendous commercials. Some of it said in entertainment. Some of it said somebody who's been very vicious to me, Rosie O'Donnell. I said very tough things to her, and I think everybody would agree that she deserves it, and nobody feels sorry for her. But you want to know the truth? I was going to say something extremely rough to Hillary, to her family, and I said to myself, I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's inappropriate. It's not nice. But she spent hundreds of millions of dollars on negative ads on me, many of which are absolutely untrue. They're untrue and they're misrepresentations. And I will tell you this, Lester, it's not nice, and I don't deserve that. But it's certainly not a nice thing that she's done. It's hundreds of millions of ads, and the only gratifying thing is I saw the polls come in today, and with all of that money, over $200 million is spent, and I'm either winning or tied, and I've spent practically nothing.
One of you will not win this election. So my final question to you tonight, are you willing to accept the outcome as the will of the voters? Secretary Clinton?
Well, I support our democracy. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But I certainly will support the outcome of this election. And I know Donald's trying very hard to plant doubts about it, but I hope the people out there understand this election's really up to you. It's not about us so much as it is about you and your families and the kind of country and future you want. So I sure hope you will get out and vote as though your future depended on it, because I think it does.
Mr. Trump, very quickly, the same question. Will you accept the outcome as the will of the voters?
I want to make America great again. We are a nation that is seriously troubled. We're losing our jobs. People are pouring into our country. The other day, we were deporting 800 people, and perhaps they passed the wrong button, they pressed the wrong button, or perhaps, worse than that, it was corruption. But these people that we were going to deport for good reason ended up becoming citizens. And it was 800, and now it turns out it might be 1,800, and they don't even know.
Will you accept
Look,
the outcome
here's
of
the
the
story.
election?
I want to make America great again. I'm going to be able to do it. I don't believe Hillary will. The answer is, if she wins, I will absolutely support her.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for us. That concludes our debate for this evening. A spirited one. We covered a lot of ground, not everything, as I suspected we would. The next presidential debates are scheduled for October 9th at Washington University in St. Louis and October 19th at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. The conversation will continue. A reminder, the vice presidential debate is scheduled for October 4th at Longwood University in Farmville, Virginia. My thanks to Hillary Clinton and to Donald Trump and to Hofstra University for hosting us tonight. Good night, everyone.
Sound, hold on. Okay, there we go. I have no control over anything that happens. I did use my checklist. It's all been checked. Anyway, YouTube dumped us out, and now we're back. So we're just gonna, I'm not gonna mess with anything. I'm not gonna change anything. I think we're good until the debate actually happens. Let's just take a look around, see what's going on in the world of tomorrow. Here's our friend Aaron. He's been checking things on the Fox. Let's find out what he's talking about. Here we go. Here's Fox and the news.
And I would be disappointed if he did not, when Joe Biden brings up how he has handled the pandemic, if he doesn't hearken back to the Obama administration and how they handled the swine flu, which also turned into a pandemic. And I would be disappointed if he did not, when Joe Biden brings up how he has handled the pandemic, if he doesn't hearken back to the Obama administration and how they handled the swine flu, which also turned into a pandemic.
Yeah, so how has Biden handled the pandemic? That's my question, and that's a valid point. No, I did change the title. The title should not have been yesterday's title. In fact, I've had 3 other titles testing with the charity thing between then and now. Why it was yesterday's title? I don't know. But I've been running tests with a charity all day, so things are looking good for that. Join us on October 3rd for booksandbricks.org. We're doing a fundraiser for them. That's 1 month before the election. That is next, what day, guys? Hold on. October 3rd is, this is Saturday. Saturday. Join us on Saturday. If you're not going to be around Saturday night, where are you going? Nobody can go anywhere. What are you, crazy right now? Go to booksandbricks.org right now and donate. Here, I'll show you how to donate to booksandbricks.org to help us out. They've got to get to $45,000. Usually they have a dinner. They can't have the dinner this year. Go to Books and Bricks. Hit donate today. And then go to donate online now. And you'll see a little link there. The very top link here says the Reverend Donna Riley Williams Memorial Scholarship Fund. That's my mom. And she would be so happy if you donated just a little bit of money there. So head on into there. They need $45,000 to meet their budget this year. Let's just make it $450,000. And you'll take care of everybody. And we would much appreciate that. Thank you very much. Let's go back to the main screen for a second here. There we go. So good to see everybody. Those of you that we lost, you can't hear me anyway, so screw you. Let's go. Oh, here's Elizabeth Warren being irrelevant. Let's look at, oh, speaking of irrelevant, here we go. Let's go here and see what our friend Hillary, who won the debate last time handily, absolutely killed it in the debate we just watched. Let's see what she has to say.
I think that his big advantage of having been a so-called reality TV star and been in people's living rooms on their TVs for a number of years before he ran has pretty much run its course. I think his series is about to be canceled because it's just the same story over and over again. Lying with impunity, attacking when you have nothing to say, unable to give an answer that is frankly coherent. So I think that Joe knows all that. I know the people who've been working with him and preparing him. They're well aware of how Donald Trump behaves on a stage. But I think the American people are also aware of it. And, you know, you can only lie so many times. You can only try to avoid responsibility so many times when finally people are going to be looking at each other and saying, you know, we've seen this before. And we're not buying it this time.
Madam Secretary, it's Nicole. Thank you for spending some time with us. I wanted to ask you about just that, about the impact of 4 years of telling lies, because you took the debate stage 3 times and you did a lot of the fact checking yourself. You didn't wait for the moderators to do it. You did.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to restart again. Because on the other platforms, the title didn't change either. So it looks like Trump was talking from yesterday. I do want the title to be correct on this to draw people and talk about the debates. Let me make sure that the title has updated. It did so on YouTube. So I am going to stop the broadcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, it shouldn't affect you. YouTube hangs on for about 30 seconds. So stay around. if you're watching on YouTube. If it just doesn't come back after about a minute, go out and find it, or if you get a new notification or whatever. So we are going to stop the broadcast and then come back in just a few seconds. Stay tuned. And I think we're back. I'm just looking at the YouTube right now. Hi, welcome to the live stream. This is what we do. We are all set for debates. Periscope, it looks like you guys are up on it. Good. Lizzie is checking in from Twitch. We are up there. And it looks like the YouTube stream continued. Yay for YouTube. That's the first good thing YouTube has done all day for me. So that's good news. Speaking of good things on YouTube, this Saturday, we are having the Books and Bricks donation run, so check in on that. This is the live stream. I am your host. I am your Kevinly father, Kevin Williams, and we will be fact-checking the debate tonight. No, my mic is not cut out. What? Seriously? My mic is here. Hold on. I'm going to listen to myself. No, my mic is not cut out. There. See? I'm there. At Random is just causing trouble tonight. Yeah, I am good. Thank you, Katie. Thank you very much. At Random. Just randomly coming up with nonsense is what I say. Let's listen to a little bit more of Hillary here.
The pushback, and you had the facts on your side. He's now told upward of 20,000 lies to the American people. His numbers are pretty much unchanged from his first year as president. What do you think the impact is of 4 years of having the most powerful person in the Republican Party and everybody around him kind of nod their head along with the lie?
We can't listen to too much of MSNBC in a row because we'll get tagged for a copyright violation. And then the channel goes down, and I can't have that. Nobody wants that. That's an interesting point she brought up there, and I don't know how Hillary's going to answer it, so let's find out. Just to check in, we are 29 minutes away from the start of the debate.
I mean, how does Joe Biden debate somebody like that?
I think Joe sticks to what he has to say to the American people. I mean, he's really there to demonstrate.
If I were her, I'd say, I think Joe should be Joe and not me. I mean, there you have it.
Demonstrate to the American people that he will be a president that will take responsibility.
I'm popping up the volume.
That will get the job done, that does care about their kids going to school in the middle of a COVID epidemic, that will do everything possible to restore the economy for hardworking people who've lost their jobs, who will deal with the issues that are the kind of bread and butter issues, the issues that people are talking about and afraid of right now. And so I really believe that, you know, Joe has a very clear message and a mission tonight. That is not to get drawn into the...
So at this point, folks, again, we can't keep watching her because I will get tagged for a copyright violation, even though we are doing commentary on it and it is fair use at this point. That's why news stations are able to show things from other news stations and clips and play them out of context and say that Joe Biden is completely losing it. Just checking in on the fact checks. We've got Daniel Dale up. We've got @Truth on Twitter, which is somehow associated with the Biden campaign. Not owned by the Biden campaign, but there it is. They're cooperating with the Biden campaign and the Biden War Room. We've got Snopes, of course, up and ready to go. So as soon as things start happening, we will be fact-checking that. And you've got me as well. And, you know, I just make up random facts. So I will start that thing. Back to Hillary.
Craziness that Donald Trump exhibits at every turn. Yes, maybe check them once or twice, but stay on focus about...
They're actually doing a Tucker Carlson show. They're actually having, rather than doing a Fox Democracy Now! 2020 presidential debate, they're actually doing Tucker Carlson. Hold on, because I'm going to get set Fox to record. I've got this YouTube TV thing, which is pretty darn cool. Silas, I noticed on the Facebook that you said you were going to start doing the YouTube TV. I recommend it. I know a couple of you out there have it as well. At Random has it, and it saves things for 9 months, which is cool. Unlimited DVR. It saves things for 9 months. When I'm doing this on my screen here, this is what I'm doing. So the first presidential debate, I have to go in here and I have to just add it across the board. And I've got unlimited room here. So if I want to get it on all 3 channels, all 3 news channels, plus my local news channel, I can do that. Here's NBC. Let's see. Here's Lester Holt. He was the moderator for the debate we just watched last year.
Trump won that state where they have sided with the winner in every presidential election since '64. We sent
Wendy.
Kate Snow to see how voters there are feeling tonight.
Where?
This is Dominic Marchese's organic beef farm in Farmdale, Ohio.
These are half
Oh, it's the Ohio people. They decide the election.
Piedmontese from northern Italy.
He's a registered Democrat who voted once for Obama in a county that flipped to Trump in 2016. How did you go from voting for Obama to voting for Trump?
Well, very easy. One is apologizing for America, and the other one is fighting for America.
Dominic took us to meet
But Obama wasn't running against
some
Trump.
friends one county over.
I think they knew we were coming.
Why does nobody who answers that question make any sense?
They tell us enthusiasm for the president here is even greater than 4 years ago. One reason, farmers are happy with the president's trade war with China and subsidies they received.
And he understood that these farmers are important, and he took care of the farmers, and that's where we're at.
All these other politicians just talk about it. They don't do anything. Trump's a doer.
This is a Trump rally, so it's a little bit out of the ordinary, but and this is NBC showing this, by the way, which is interesting. But I have seen farmer after farmer, remember when they interviewed the wrong farmer, according to Trump, complain and say, we're not getting the subsidies, and they're going to the big farms, and they're not trickling down to us, and suicide is up, and debt is up, and record bankruptcies, etc., etc.
They think President Trump is unfairly blamed for the pandemic.
These Chinese, this might be one of their tactics to take our country. You think they wouldn't take America?
Do you think that the Chinese purposefully sent the coronavirus?
Yes.
Well, what? If you don't believe they did on purpose, the sun ain't shining.
How many people
Wow.
think that the coronavirus...
Okay, so these are all conspiracy theorists. By the way, if China wasn't trying to take us down by sending a virus over here, they sure as hell know what works now.
was purposefully sent by China?
All of them.
But we found a
All of
different
them.
story in the suburbs.
Oh!
We're in Avon in Lorain County now, west of Cleveland.
Trump's response to the pandemic has been catastrophic. Our global image is suffering. Consumer profits are crumbling. I mean, the economy is not good.
You support the president.
I do. You don't necessarily have to agree.
That's the difference between a Trump voter and a non-Trump voter. Hey, everybody, we're going to be on TV. Let's wear T-shirts. There's the difference.
With his personality or his style.
I don't know what that means, because I don't know anything about fashion. That's just the way it is, though.
If you're interested in his results.
Catherine Schroth is undecided.
I don't want to vote for Trump because his rhetoric is divisive. However, I do not agree with a lot of Democrat liberal policies.
Democratic. She watches Fox News.
And I also honestly have some concerns about Biden's cognitive ability right now.
She watches Fox News. This debate, if it does anything, might actually persuade, if Biden can hold it together, might actually persuade some people that he is cognitively still there.
What are you going to be listening for in the debate?
Intelligence, clarity of plan.
Good luck.
Someone who loves America and wants to see it unified again.
She'll be watching closely for that tonight. Kate Snow, NBC News, Avon, Ohio.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. Tucker. He's got Karen Owens on. This is always good.
Of buses because he insisted verbatim that Black Americans liked being segregated. Now all of a sudden he flip-flops and we're supposed to forget his record on race. Kamala Harris certainly didn't forget.
It's the opposite of that. But I know that I've heard her do this argument before. But
Get his record on race when she was running against him until she got in line and suddenly doesn't think that he's a racist anymore. But
she said that night during the debate that I don't think you're a racist. She said very clearly, I don't think you're a racist. Shall we find it, kids, in case you're watching? A lot of people tuning in for the first time tonight. Welcome. This is the live stream. This is what we do. We scream truth to power here. I'm going to find something for you here because I like to keep the receipts. So I'm going to just dig something up here and I'll show it to you. The contention is that Kamala hated Biden and was so mean and disrespectful to him in the debates and called him a racist over and over again. That's what Trump has said. Karen Owens here, it's Candace Owens, we call her Karen, claims that he called her a racist, and I do not have that video ready to go. So that's what we do. I'll find it. Here, watch this.
The pandering has gotten really past a point, and I do believe that Joe Biden views Black Americans as a group of people who need to behave. And you can sense his frustration when Charlemagne the God in that interview that you just showed says, you know, I have a few more questions. To him, we're not allowed to have questions, right? He believes that he is owed our vote, and all he has to do is give us 15 minutes of a pander amongst entertainers and rappers and stars.
So someone said to me today, this is just a guess, a prediction, we'll find out if it's true in about 20 minutes, but that Biden may try and push the president to say Black Lives Matter. Do you think Black Lives Matter, Donald Trump? What should Trump say if he says that?
I should say, shut up, Tucker. I found it, kids. Here it comes. This is the big debate we're talking about where Kamala said, hey, your school buses and stuff like that, you're a big racist, Joe Biden.
Racist.
What did she say?
I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden. I do not believe you are a racist.
There you go. The exact opposite of calling him a racist. I do not believe that you are a racist. Let's go back to the coverage and see what's going on. Let's go back to Tucker.
I think Trump should talk about Black Lives Matter as an organization being separate, and he should ask Joe Biden back whether or not he believes that the rioting, that the looting, that the burning down that has taken place in Black communities because of Black Lives Matter, the organization, elitist liberals in blackface that are putting millions of dollars into this organization to watch Black communities burn, right? So they can secure the Black vote by pretending that all of this madness is happening under a President Trump administration. He should push that back and ask Joe Biden for an answer, and then just ask him a couple of questions about his record on race, because it isn't Trump that's been in the government for, as I believe Joe Biden said last week, 180 years. It isn't Trump. He's been.
Yeah, that was a joke. He said it and he laughed. And what the right wing is saying is he meant to read 18 off the teleprompter, but read 180 because he's cognitively not there. He didn't come to the Senate 18 years ago. He came to the Senate when he was 30 years old. Now he's 78. But the right can't do the math. So that's a joke. It's like, oh, yeah, when I played hockey in college 157 years ago. It's a joke. You're joking about how old you are. And that's okay. But the right just cannot fathom it. Help me out, guys, here. Which podium is Trump going to be on? Left or right? Stage left or stage right? What's your guess, guys? Do we know? Does anybody know? Do they know? A little bit of social distancing going on there. Let's see what else is going on. That's enough of Fox for right now. It's debate night in America.
And
is he, Ruth Ann? Do we know that for sure? He's going to be on the left? Left? As we see the stage. Looking at the stage, it's going to be on the left, which is this side for you guys. So left, right, okay. Someone want to send me a link or something that has the actual truth? Because I don't know. I'll change it once things get going here. But right now, I'm hoping that Trump is on your left. Biden's on stage right. Okay, forget it. Everyone's got a different answer. You people are useless. 17 minutes. I can't wait. Let's watch CNN for a little.
The bringing of Bill Clinton's accusers to a debate. I mean, he really leaned into the very things that people thought made him unpresidential. Mm-hmm. I would not put it past him to go in that same direction tonight. The question really is whether Biden is able to make a case that he's more presidential than Trump and that it matters to them. It has to matter to people because a lot of these same undecided voters, they'll say, well, I don't like his personality, but I like my tax bill, or I like,
No, you're absolutely right, but you're onto something, Jake. And I've spoken to Trump advisors about this very thing. They're very well aware that Hillary Clinton is not Joe Biden. That if you look at just when the question of whether or not they're likable, Hillary Clinton was about the same level as Donald Trump was then and is now, but Joe Biden isn't. People like him better than they like both of the other candidates, and that does matter when they're going to be perceiving how Donald Trump goes after him. But the Trump campaign, people around him think that he doesn't have a choice, because right now it is completely a referendum on Donald Trump, and he needs to make it a contrast debate. Whether it's not just me, it's about whether you want me or this guy. And that's why he's going to be as aggressive as possible. I was told that for the first 30 minutes, he has been prepped to be as aggressive and on the offense as much as he possibly can.
Well, I could see that, definitely. And that's also just who he is.
Right.
But I also think, like, this entire campaign has been a contrast. I mean, that is right. Isn't that what Joe Biden has been trying to do, even calling a lid early in the day so the reporters understand he's not going to be in the news that day? Like, he is trying to be a president you don't have to think about every minute of the day.
But when, you know this, the term contrast when you're the incumbent is, this isn't just about me. This isn't a referendum on me. It is, do you want me or do you want the person who's on the other side of the stage? Because you think you don't like me, but if you don't have me, it's going to be me or him. And so the whole goal of any incumbent, especially this one, is to make the guy who wants his job even more undesirable.
But I do think one of the things you said about the level of energy that Donald Trump brings to a stage like this is really important, and not for all of the reasons that the Trump campaign wants to make it important, the sort of falsehoods about performance-enhancing drugs. But I do think that as Biden is trying to sort of be the adult in the room, he can't be so boring that he puts people to sleep. I really do think that it's got to be, he has to match Trump energy for energy on that stage. And that's easier said than done when you're trying not to get into it, trying not to get into the gutter. I think that is one of the big challenges for Biden. How do you find a happy middle ground where you're the adult, but you're not, the boring guy, or you don't seem like you have, as much sort of enthusiasm for the job as Trump? I mean, Trump makes the stage and everything about him, and makes everything that he says about himself seem really great.
Absolutely. Look, I mean, he does have a certain. I mean,
did I miss anything? What else is going on here, kids? Let's go up to the MSNBCs and see what they're talking about. Hold on. Vaccines, this is important.
Trials. Coming up, inside the first airport rolling out its own COVID testing.
Oh, well, that's
Searching
nothing,
for a
man.
way to help stop your cold
Let's go back to
sore?
Rachel. She
Only
knows
a
everything.
This is an important break because there's no commercials during the debate. So this is the time to...
No commercials during the debate?
All the stuff you need to do. You gotta do it now.
I thought there were 2 bathroom breaks during the debate. All right, fine. How about this?
Not since Garfield and McKinley in 1896 have we seen a candidate stay on his front porch, but he's in his basement. So we've got millions of Americans, especially young Americans, that have never...
He's literally not in his basement right now. Literally has been going places. And so what if he's in his basement? We're having a pandemic. What?
Never seen him in the flesh, and not at a rally, at a unscripted press conference, in a real live interview without a teleprompter. And so they're curious. They want to know if these rumors that he's cognitive...
Biden does not use teleprompters during question periods. It's nonsense.
Challenge or just bunk or cruel.
Yeah, is there a drinking word? Does somebody want to come up with a drinking word? Hell, come up with 10 drinking words. Riots.
Or they're accurate. They want to know what he thinks about the new Green Deal or reparations or foreign policy changes we've had in the Middle East. And so he has a great chance, and he's got a great...
That'd be great if Trump was late for the debate. Just Biden standing up there. Well, I'll talk for 10 minutes. Marcy. Yeah, apparently I saw something earlier saying that Trump or Biden had requested 2 bathroom breaks. Oh, it was Sean Hannity saying that Biden had requested 2 different bathroom breaks during the 90-minute debate. I don't know if there's any truth to that or not, but...
Liability. If he comes...
But Trump wears diapers, so he doesn't need one.
Comes across like he did with Sarah Palin and Paul Ryan and Bernie Sanders, and he's specific in these answers, then people are going to say, wow, I was wrong and the Republicans were wrong about this. On the other hand, if he comes across and says things like he's been in the Senate 100.
Law and order is a good one. We might use law and order as a drinking word. But don't drink too much. And if you are drinking, try and make it hard. Because beer, you're just going to be going to the bathroom and you're going to miss the good stuff, if there is any.
80 years, or 200 people died of COVID, or he has a UN.
Oh, here we go.
So those are the stakes tonight for the president, who enters this as the underdog. You mentioned the poll.
What?
One of the things I'm fascinated to see coming out of tonight.
No. Guys, I've been watching old broadcasts, like from September of last year. I posted one. We'll watch one. I just want you to guys. This is. Oh, everyone's just gun shy because of what happened in 2016, where the polls showed that Hillary was leading nationally, but we weren't paying any attention to the states, so we were just all gun shy. Yeah, let's take a look at September of last year, shall we? Hold on. I got this from earlier today that I posted. Let's see. Oh, hey, yeah, let's watch this. We got to watch this, guys. This is good. Coming at you.
A drug test. Why did you ask for a drug test before the debate? What prompted that with you and Joe Biden?
Because I watched Biden in the previous debates, and he was horrible. And I watched him in the Bernie debate, and he was normal. He wasn't Winston Churchill, but he was normal. It was sort of like an even deal. He got by it. And I said, that was a different guy than the guy that was in the debates where Kamala just took him apart. Now, Kamala's terrible. She went down from 15 to, I watched her drop like a rock, right? So that's automatically, that's like a poll, okay? She never even got to Iowa. She never even, because she was so low. So that's the person, but she was really mean to him. She said the worst things.
But on Biden, why the drug test? What do you think he's on?
I'll tell you, well, he's on some kind of an enhancement, in my opinion. And I say we should both. I should take a drug test, so should he. Because we don't want to have a situation where a guy is taking some kind of a...
It's like athletes, like a...
No, he should take... I want to take one. I'll take one. He'll take one. We should both take a drug test.
God, she's hilarious. Great gig. By the way, Sarah Cooper with some glasses on, kind of hot. Should pull those off or leave them on. Either way, I wonder if those are her real glasses. She is married, and she's lovely. Everyone is lovely. Let's go look and see what Mr. Aaron Rupar pulled off today. 7 tweets in the last hour. Busy. Okay, baby. Here we go. Great stuff on Tucker Carlson's show tonight. Let's find out what that is. Coming at you again.
Across the entire United States. I'm sorry, I'm losing you, Tucker.
Justin Haskins, I know you'll be back, and I'm sorry for the tech snafu that's preventing you from finishing your sentence, but I think I'd probably agree with what you're going to say, which is...
have people...
What kind of idiot has technical difficulties? Yeah, tonight on Hannity at 11 p.m. Donald Trump Jr., Ari Fleischer, and Sarah Sanders. And Aaron asked, did Satan have prior commitments? Aaron's comment on this: the network that employs tonight's debate moderator is smearing Biden as senile in the run-up to the event. Let's watch.
Biden. I don't think there's any doubt Biden's senile, but that doesn't mean he's going to show up tonight. And I don't think there's any doubt Biden's senile, but that doesn't mean he's going to show up tonight. And
I don't think there's any doubt that Biden is senile. Okay, what he was trying to say there is that Biden isn't really senile. The words came out wacky. We saw that. Let's go to our friend Asen. Hopefully he's keeping cool today. It's about 100 degrees there. And saw that Asen, he's up, where is he today? He hasn't posted anything all day today, so maybe he's resting up for the debate. Let's go back to the boob tube, see what's going on. Oh, hey, I know what we should watch. So Right Side Broadcasting had on Bill O'Reilly. So he's not dead, but he was running their pre-show over on Right Side Broadcasting. I don't know if he was running it for them or doing his own thing, but here he comes. Let's see. This is live. Let's see what they're
Are you
broadcasting.
tired of the media spinning the truth and pushing false narratives?
Boy,
Well, take a
am
look
I.
at this. Over the last 3 years.
Go through all that stuff together. So don't miss the Buck Sexton Show every day at 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The First.
I'm about to blow you away with something.
So they're broadcasting something called The First. Okay. Let's go back to there we go. The debate nights. He was saying something.
Night's debate in our instant poll, Wolf. Not only will we learn from debate watchers who they think
Yeah, we
won
will
the
be
debate,
watching the debate.
but we're also going to see if opinions on the
Oh, it's
candidates.
getting close, kids. We're going to jump
just
ahead
don't
here.
think that he's going to get up there. Beat up Joe Biden.
5
Beat up one of the
minutes.
most beloved people in the country. Beat up somebody who's buried half his family. Beat up somebody who cares about you. I don't think this is going to go the way that they think it's going to go. If they do what you just said, I think that may actually help Biden more than hurts him.
You know the old Reagan line, there you go again? And you can, Joe Biden can use that against Donald Trump. If he continues to attack him, Joe Biden can smile at him and say, okay, that's a lie, and go on. I mean, I am sure, actually, that they have responses ready-made.
Love me some
for
Kornacki.
him
Oh, here we go. We got
to
some stats coming
just-
up. Let's go get some Kornacki in our world. Are we recording this yet? Come on, I hit this to record. We are. Okay. Let's go back and get some Kornak.
Has been more than cut
All
in
right.
half. It's
We'll watch
Where do you
Kornak
think that
all the
Biden
way
and
up into
Trump
the
are
debate. Here it is, Steve Kornacki. We're going to pause him every once in a while.
Compared to, say, where Clinton and Trump were at this time 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's a great starting point because let's take a look here. 4 years ago today, if you averaged all the polls together, Hillary Clinton was ahead. She led pretty much wire to wire until election.
Guys, am I missing stuff in the... Oh, okay. There's Luke. Okay. Sometimes certain things will come through in the chat aggregate window over there. Some of them won't. It looks like everything's coming through. I haven't seen anyone from Facebook. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and check in so that I know that Facebook is coming through. If you are watching on Facebook and it's not coming through, jump on over to YouTube, youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. You'll see it there at the bottom right there. That is the best way to chat with us.
Election day, but compared to Biden, she wasn't leading by as much. There were moments when for a couple days that Clinton lead would swell. But what you're seeing right here has consistently been a
He
big
said
difference
swell.
between this year and 2016 in the polling. The Biden lead has been larger, and it has been more stable, at least so far. So the question is why? What has Joe Biden been getting in polling that Hillary Clinton wasn't in 2016? Has there been growth in Democratic support? So let's break it down, first of all, demographically. And I think, first of all, this first part might be a bit of a surprise. These two groups of voters, black and Latino voters, overwhelmingly Democratic. Certainly in 2016, these are the margins Hillary Clinton won by. If you look at the polling right now, still overwhelmingly Democratic, but a little bit less so. There have been some small inroads there that Trump's been able to make with Latino and black voters. The gains that Democrats have made from 2016 to 2020 in the polling, they are coming from white voters. White voters, more than 2/3 of the electorate overall. Trump won them by 17 in 2016. That margin right now in polling has been more than cut in half. It's down to single digits, Trump's lead among white voters. And what does that mean from an electoral college perspective? I mean, this was the story of 2016. We talk so much Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, for that matter, Ohio, where the debate is tonight.
Gotta pause it just for a second there, guys. I don't know if I'm going to get tagged or not on a live broadcast, but again, we're commenting on this, so this is fair use. That's what fair use is. Sometimes we'll get taken down and then we have to argue about it, but I think the vast majority of people watching are going to be watching this live. So welcome. If you're just joining us, this is the live stream. In 2 minutes, we're going to have ourselves a little bit of debate. We'll get through it together. I currently have Daniel Dale up as a fact checker. I've got Snopes up. I've got Truth up as well. We'll be joining, looking at perhaps PolitiFact, if their live stream works. We'll see what they're up to as well. I don't know if they're going to be doing live commentary or live tweeting or blogging. I don't know. But if you guys have other fact checks as this happens, type them in the chat and we'll go from there. Almost done.
Iowa, states with large white populations, large blue-collar white populations, where Donald Trump just ran up the score in 2016 to a massive degree. And when you see those gains nationally among white voters, it is translating to these Midwest states I'm talking about. This is the overall result in 2016. Look, a double-digit win for Trump in Iowa. What's the same polling right now showing in these states? Look at these changes. That's a 10-point shift in Iowa. The polling has Iowa tied
All right,
right now.
it's getting close.
An 11-point.
We're going to stop Steve here, and we are going to pull up the C-SPAN feed. Let's go to C-SPAN, because they should be getting going with it right now.
Our campaign 2020 coverage.
No. That's all. Come on. Show it to us.
Our campaign 2020 coverage continues with the first presidential debate. C-SPAN, your unfiltered view of politics.
We might just have to watch this on one of the regular stations.
Official presidential debates begins tonight in Cleveland.
Okay, they're not. This is the pregame show, so let's get out of here. I don't want to miss anything. Let's go right to. Here we go. They are introducing things. We're going to pull up Fox here. They're usually pretty dependable. Here we go, folks. It's the debate.
Examination of them. So there's no artifice. We see them as they truly are, and it matters a great deal to the American people what they take away from those appearances.
You can see
okay, so no one's there yet.
Of these faces, some anxiety, some anxiousness. We're getting ready for the biggest moment of this election so far.
CNN is still talking. Let's go to CNN.
All been covering it, definitely for me, because of the reason that we were talking about. We are in a pandemic, and people haven't really been able to see these candidates in the traditional ways that we usually see candidates, especially at this late stage of the game. And this is a high-stakes moment no matter what year, but especially right now.
There's First Lady Melania Trump walking in with a mask, not often seen at events where her husband is featured, but all of her family walked in with masks. Abby?
Yeah, I mean, you can't forget the fact that we are in a country in crisis, and I think the American people are looking for.
Yeah, welcome everybody. If you're watching from Europe or Australia or parts unknown, it's got to be the middle of night for you guys there. This is dedication. If you're watching this on replay, I assume by now the presidential election's been decided, so you probably know. Let us know if you could.
In government. Those are two very stark choices, and I think it's going to be really on display. But to the extent that these two men have strengths and weaknesses, you know, watching them and covering them over the years, I think this is going to be a.
These debates typically start right on time.
Except they're very different styles, right? Yeah. One guy conveys empathy, the other guy conveys, you can call it toughness, you can call it nastiness. I remember in 2012 when Obama had his first debate after 4 years being president, he had been in a bubble. Only talking to people who really liked him and supported him. He hadn't done a lot of interviews that year, and he was rusty and out of shape. And talk about a bubble. I mean, people talk about the liberal bubble, the MAGA bubble that Donald Trump is in, where he talks to, you know, Judge Jeanine and Fox folks, although I guess he does have a Fox moderator. I wonder what effect that will have.
Hey, Josh.
It could. I mean, and it's not just President Obama, George.
11 a.m. Christmas Day, as I understand it, with the international timeline. So good to see you, Josh. Let us know what happened yesterday, and so we don't have to watch this.
W. Bush didn't do well in his first debate. This is kind of the problem that incumbent presidents have, which is why this president, despite the fact that they have been trying to lower expectations, saying he hasn't really practiced, he has practiced. He has gotten, you know what, kicked
Name that
out
TV
of him
show.
by his aides and advisors in debate.
Let's watch the Fox, see what they're up to.
That are dividing us. When you look at coronavirus, whoever is the president for the next 4 years is going to have an opportunity, hopefully, to see us out of that, to try to stimulate this economy again, the unemployment numbers, try to get things moving, and also to deal with huge issues like China on the foreign stage and the threat from China. So there's so much at stake, and these two men are about to have a chance to show the country how they would handle these really difficult challenges.
Obviously, hanging all over this is COVID-19. We have a different scenario here in the debate hall. Fewer people here in the audience, from about 900 to about roughly 100. You see Chris Wallace getting ready there. He has selected debate topics. He will go for roughly 6 minutes on each one, 15 minutes for each one of those with back and forth.
So we'll see. Are they going to come out swinging? We have seen President Trump debate a lot. We've now seen Joe Biden debate several times in the primary process here. But this is the big contest. This is the big night where these two men share a stage for the first time ever in this role.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Wallace, our colleague and friend.
Good evening from the Health Education campus of Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic. I'm Chris Wallace of Fox News, and I welcome you to the first of the 2020 presidential debates between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. This debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. The commission has designed the format, 6 roughly 15-minute segments, with 2-minute answers from each candidate to the first question, then open discussion for the rest of each segment. Both campaigns have agreed to these rules. For the record, I decided the topics and the questions in each topic. I can assure you, none of the questions has been shared with the commission or the two candidates. This debate is being conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Cleveland Clinic, which is serving as the health security advisor to the commission for all 4 debates. As a precaution, both campaigns have agreed the candidates will not shake hands at the beginning of tonight's debate. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, no boos or other interruptions, so we, and more importantly you, can focus on what the candidates have to say. No noise except right now, as we welcome the Republican nominee, President Trump, and the Democratic nominee, Vice President Biden.
Come on. Be on the right sides. Be on the right sides. Trump, stay there. Good. Good. Ah! I don't have to change the scoreboard. Yeah, you guys can make noise.
A lot of people have been waiting for this night, so let's get going. Our first subject is the Supreme Court. President Trump, you nominated Amy Coney Barrett over the weekend to succeed the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the court. You say the Constitution is clear about your obligation and the Senate's to consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden, you say that this is an effort by the president and Republicans to jam through an appointment and what you call an abuse of power. My first question to both of you tonight, why are you right in the argument you make and your opponent wrong, and where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court?
I've already tuned
President
out.
Trump, in this first segment, you go first, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chris. I will tell you very simply, we won the election. Elections have consequences. We have the Senate, we have the White House, and we have a phenomenal nominee, respected by all, top academic, good in every way, good in every way. In fact, some of her biggest endorsers are very liberal people from Notre Dame and other places. So I think she's going to be fantastic. We have plenty of time, even if we did it after the election itself. I have a lot of time after the election, as you know. So I think that she will be outstanding. She's going to be as good as anybody that has served on that court. We really feel that. We have a professor at Notre Dame, highly respected by all, said she's the single greatest student he's ever had. He's been a professor for a long time at a great school. And we won the election, and therefore we have the right to choose her. And very few people knowingly would say otherwise. And by the way, the Democrats, they wouldn't even think about not doing it. If they had, the only difference is they try and do it faster. There's no way they would give it up.
I can't
they
fact check
had Merrick
that.
Garland, but the problem is they didn't have the election, so they were stopped. And probably that would happen in reverse also. Definitely would happen in reverse. So we won the election, and we have the right to do it, Chris.
President Trump, thank you. Same question to you, Vice President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this, and looking forward to this, Mr. President.
Thank you, Joe.
The American people have a right
being
to
so
have a say
nice
who
today.
the Supreme Court nominee is. And that say occurs when they vote for a United States senators and when they vote for the President of the United States. They're not going to get that chance now because we're in the middle of an election already. The election has already started. Tens of thousands of people have already voted. And so the thing that should happen is we should wait. We should wait and see what the outcome of this election is, because that's the only way the American people get to express their view is by who they elect as president and who they elect as vice president. Now, what's at stake here is the president's made it clear he wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. He's been running on that, he ran on that, and he's been governing on that. He's in the Supreme Court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which will strip 20 million people from having insurance, health insurance now, if it goes into court, and the justice, and I have nothing. I'm not opposed to the justice. She seems like a very fine person, but she's written before she went on the bench, which is her right, that she thinks that the Affordable Care Act is not constitutional. The other thing that's on the court, and if it's struck down, what happens? Women's rights are fundamentally changed. Once again, a woman could be pay more money because she has a pre-existing condition of pregnancy. They were able to charge a woman more for the same exact procedure a man gets. And that ended when we, in fact, passed the Affordable Care Act. And there's 100 million people who have pre-existing conditions, and they'll be taken away as well. Those pre-existing conditions, the insurance companies are going to love this. And so it's just not appropriate to do this before this election. If he wins the election and the Senate is Democrat or Republican, then he goes forward. If not, we should wait until February.
All right. There aren't 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. As far as the say is concerned, the people already had their say. Okay, Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully, very strongly, at some point, 10 years ago or so, she said a president and the Senate is elected for a period of time, but a president's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a president.
He's elected to the next
during
election.
that period of time, we have an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years. I'm elected for 4 years. And the 100 million people, Joe, the 100 million people is totally wrong. I don't know where you got that number. The bigger problem that you have is that you're going to extinguish 180 million people with their private health care that they're very happy with.
That's simply not true.
Well, you're certainly going to socialist.
It is not true.
We're now into, gentlemen, we're now into open discussion.
Open discussion.
Open discussion. Yes, I agree. Go ahead, Vice President.
Number one, he knows that what I proposed. What I proposed is that we expand Obamacare and we increase it. We do not wipe any. And one of the big debates we had with 23 of my colleagues trying to win the nomination that I won, were saying that Biden wanted to allow people to have private insurance still. They can. They do. They will under my proposal.
It's not what you've said, and it's not what your party has said.
That is simply
your party
a lie.
doesn't say it. Your party wants to go socialist medicine.
My party is
and
me.
socialist
right
healthcare.
now. I am,
and
the
they're going to dominate
Party.
you, Joe. You know that.
I am the Democratic Party right now. The platform of the
Not
Democratic
according to
Party
Harris.
is what I, in fact, approved of. What I approved of. Now, here's the deal. The deal is that it's going to wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way, the 200,000 people that have died on his watch, how many of those have survived? Well, there's 7 million people that contracted COVID. What does it mean for them going forward if you strike down the Affordable Care Act?
Joe, you've had 308,000 military people dying because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the military. So don't tell me about this.
I'm happy to talk about this.
And if you were here, it wouldn't be 200, it would be 2 million people because you were very late on the draw. You didn't want me to ban China, which was heavily infected. You didn't want me to ban
all right, gentlemen,
which was heavily infected. You would have been much later, Joe.
Mr. President,
much later.
Mr. President.
You're talking about 2 million people.
You're not
President, as the moderator, we are going to talk about COVID in the next segment, but go ahead.
Let me finish. The point is that the president also is opposed to Roe v. Wade. That's on the ballot as well in the court. And so that's also at stake right now. And so the election is already
You don't know it's
begun.
on the ballot. Why is it on the ballot?
Because
what?
Because
Why is it on the ballot? It's not on the ballot.
It's on the ballot in the court.
I don't think so.
In the
People
court.
are voting
There's
on it.
nothing
It's on the
happening
ballot.
there.
Donald, would you
And
just
you don't
be quiet
know
for a
her
minute?
He thinks he's
view
literally
on
saying it's on the
Roe
ballot.
v. Wade. You
I
don't know
don't
her
know.
view.
Well, all right. Let's talk. We got a lot to unpack here, gentlemen. We got a lot of time. So, on health care, and then we'll come back to Roe v. Wade.
All right.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court will hear a case a week after the election in which the Trump administration, along with 18 state attorneys general, are seeking to overturn Obamacare, to end Obamacare. You have spent the last...
Because they want to give good health care.
If I may ask my question, sir.
Good health care.
Over the last 4 years, you have promised to repeal and replace Obamacare, but you have never in these 4 years come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare.
Of course I have.
Well,
I got rid of the individual mandate.
I'm going to give you an opportunity.
I got rid of the individual mandate, which was a big chunk of
Obamacare.
That is absolutely a big thing. That was the worst part of Obamacare.
Sir,
Chris, that was the worst part of Obamacare.
Let me ask my question.
Well, I'll ask Joe. The individual mandate was the most unpopular aspect of Obamacare. I got rid of it. And we will protect people with pre-existing.
Go, Chris. You go, girl.
I would like you to let me ask my question, and then you can answer your question. You, in the course of these 4 years, have never come up with a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare, and just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump health care plan?
Fine. Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me just tell you something, that there's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against Big Pharma. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. Nobody's done it. So we're cutting health care.
That's it. Just laugh at him. Laugh at him. Mock him.
I'll give you an example. Insulin. It was destroying families, destroying people. The cost. I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water. You want to know the truth? So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs what we're doing. Prescription drug prices.
Look at Joe. You go, Joe.
Go to other countries to buy drugs because they pay just a tiny fraction.
As I say, this is open discussion.
No,
let
but
me
this
ask
is
you about,
big. This
you'll
is
be happy,
big stuff,
sir. You'll be happy. I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the vice president, which is he points out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare, and the argument that he makes and other Republicans make is that that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
Well, if I can ask you the question, it will
Not
end.
what your party says, by the way.
It will end private insurance and create a government takeover of health care.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare would, Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the American people would still not be in that option, number one.
Joe, you agreed with Bernie Sanders, who's far left, on the manifesto, we call it. And that gives you socialized medicine.
Look, hey,
Are you saying
I'm not going to listen to him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm here standing facing you, buddy.
Pocahontas would have left 2 days early. You would have lost every primary.
All he knows how to
on
do is
Super Tuesday. You got very lucky.
Here's the deal. I got very lucky. I'm going to get very lucky tonight as well. And tonight I'm going to make sure, because here's the deal. Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
But
I just want to make sure.
You're the liar.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make sure.
Mr. President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has, you pick
You'd be surprised.
the wrong guy, the wrong night at the wrong time.
Listen, you agreed with Bernie Sanders to the manifesto.
The whole idea.
Let him.
There is no manifesto. Number one.
Please let him speak, Mr.
Number two.
You just lost the left.
Number two.
You just lost the left. You agreed with Bernie Sanders on a plan.
Push through.
Folks,
push through.
Folks, do you have any idea what this clown's doing?
They call it
Do you have any idea?
socialized medicine.
Mr. President.
Well, I tell you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care because he in fact already has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his recession. Number one. Number two, there are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give them better health care at a much lower price because
by the way, he doesn't know how. He doesn't know how to do that.
I've already fixed it.
He has never offered a plan.
Fixed it to an extent.
He has never done a single thing.
As you might know, but probably don't.
Gentlemen, you realize if you're both speaking at the same time,
and it's too expensive.
Let the president. Go ahead, sir.
Obamacare is no good. We made it better, and I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate. We guarantee pre-existing conditions, but took away the individual mandate. Listen, this is the way it is. And that destroyed, they shouldn't even call it Obamacare. Then I had a choice to make. Do I let my people run it really well or badly? If I run it badly, they'll probably blame him, but they'll blame me. But more importantly, I want to help people, okay? I said, you got to run it so well. And I just had a meeting with them. They said, the problem is no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive. Premiums are too high, and it doesn't work. So we do want to get rid of it. Chris, we want to get rid of it.
I understand it, sir, but I have to give you roughly equal time. Please let the vice president talk.
Good.
He has no plan for health care.
Of course we do.
He sends out wishful thinking. He has executive orders that have no power. He hasn't lowered drug costs for anybody. He's been promising a health care plan since he got elected. He has none, like almost everything else he talks about. He does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan. And the fact is, this man doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right, I have one final question for you,
sure.
Mr. Vice President. If Senate Republicans, we were talking originally about the Supreme Court here, if Senate Republicans go ahead and confirm Justice Barrett, there has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
Are you going to pack the court?
Make sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why would you answer that question?
The question is,
the radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
Who's
on your list?
Right. Gentlemen, I think
this
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the court.
We're
not going to give a list.
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Keep yapping, man.
The people understand, Joe.
They sure
47 years you've done nothing. They understand.
All right. The second subject is COVID-19, which is an awfully serious subject. So let's try to be serious about it. We have had more than 7 million cases of coronavirus in the United States, and more than 200,000 people have died. Even after we produce a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years before we come back to anything approaching normal. My question for both of you is, based on what you have said and done so far, and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Good luck. 200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the Chinese, the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan. I laid out back in March exactly what we should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to be able to go out and get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools. It costs a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
So if we would have listened to you.
You have 2 minutes, sir.
If we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000, and one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic.
I don't even know how to score that. You're just making up. You don't understand how powerful butterflies are. I don't know, guys.
He's a racist and he's xenophobic because you didn't think I should have closed our country. Wait a minute.
It says 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of your Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick.
I moved the bell farther away.
Fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
I'm going to give it. He just said, I don't care about the fake news and the bad press. That is a lie. He's up to 11.
I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job
Well, you
done.
didn't do very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no economic recession.
Sir, you made a
there was no recession.
You made a point. Let him answer.
And there was no one. We didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy he's shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look, you folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding a phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye.
You would have lost far more people. Far more people. And you would have been.
And by the way,
his own
CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he held up. He said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just a mask. And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of a vaccine. We're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all, nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
You don't
trust
Dr.
Johnson
Fauci. Johnson, Pfizer.
Okay,
by the way,
gentlemen, let me move on to questions about the future because you both have touched on two of the questions I'm going to ask. Focusing on the future first, President Trump, you have repeatedly either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine would become generally available to the public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those were your two words.
Yeah.
But Dr. Slaoui, the head of your Operation Warp Speed, has said exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Well, I've spoken to the companies, and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. It is a very political thing. I've spoken to Pfizer. I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to. We have great Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others. They can go faster than that by a lot. Become very political because the left, or I don't know if I call them left, I don't know what I call them.
The head of your Operation Warp Speed, Dr. Slaoui?
I disagree with him. Yeah, no, I disagree with both of them. And he didn't say that. He said it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my office 2 days ago.
He talked about the summer, sir, before it's generally available. Just like
he said,
Dr.
it's a possibility that we'll have the answer before November 1st. It could also be after that.
When it's generally available.
Well, we're going to deliver it right away. We have the military all set up. Logistically, they're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day. They're going to be delivering.
This is the same man
it's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
By Easter this would be gone away. By the warm weather it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically.
That was
you know that.
It was
that
not.
was said sarcastically.
And so here's the deal. This man is talking about a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God we will.
Mr. Vice President, I want to pick up, though.
You'll have the vaccine sooner
I want to
than
pick
that.
up on this question, though. You say the public can trust the scientists, but they can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed. Given the fact that polls already show that people are concerned about the vaccine and are reluctant to take it, are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
No more than the question you just asked him. You pointed out. He puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying
Everybody
you can't, or
knows.
Senator Harris is saying you can't trust the scientists.
No, you can trust the scientists. She didn't say that. You can't trust
She said the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed.
Well, that's what he's going to try to do. But there's millions of scientists, there's thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him. That's not, they're the people, and by the way.
I spoke to the scientists that are in charge.
By the way.
They will have the vaccine very soon.
Let him finish.
Do you believe for a moment what he's telling you in light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue relating to COVID? He still hasn't even acknowledged that he knew this was happening, knew how dangerous it was going to be back in February, and he didn't even tell you. He's on record as saying it. He panicked or he just looked at the stock market. One of the two, because guess what? A lot of people died. And a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker.
Mr. President?
Did you use the word smart? So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Oh, give me a break.
Because you know what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe. 47 years you've done nothing.
Let's have this debate.
And if you would have had, let me just tell you something.
This is just completely devolving into personal insults now.
Joe, if you
I don't even know how to score that.
would have had the charge of what I was put through. I had to close the greatest economy in the history of our country. And by the way, now it's being built again.
See,
and it's
We're going to
going
get
up
to the
fast.
economy in the next segment, sir.
Okay.
It's going up fast.
Okay. When it
it
comes to how the virus has been handled so far, the two of you have taken very different approaches, and this is going to affect how the virus is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming the next president. I want to quickly go through several of those. Reopenings. Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir?
Because he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I'd know what the plan is. You've got to provide these businesses the ability to have the money to be able to reopen with the PPE as well as with the sanitation they need. You have to provide
Tell that
them
to
plastic.
Nancy Pelosi.
Well, he's just shush for a minute.
Tell it to Nancy Pelosi and Schumer.
By the way,
Chuck.
Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have a plan. He won't even meet with them. The Republicans won't meet with him in the Senate. But he sits on his golf course. And, well, I mean, literally, think about it.
You probably play more than I do, Joe.
What about this question of reopenings and the fact...
Well, he wants to shut down.
I'm sorry, but you can't play golf in your basement. They're saying that he hasn't left his basement in months, but accuses him of playing more golf than Trump.
This country. And I want to keep it open. And we did a great thing by shutting it down. Wait a minute, Joe. Let me shut you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. He wants to shut down the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable. We learned a lot. Young children aren't. Even younger people aren't. We've learned a lot. But he wants to shut it down. More people will be hurt by continuing. If you look at Pennsylvania, if you look at certain states that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons they're shut down is because they want to keep it shut down until after the election on November 3rd.
I want to move on to another subject. I want to move on to another subject.
But those states are not doing well that are shut down right now.
Respond to that.
President Trump, you have begun to increasingly question the effectiveness of masks as a disease preventer. And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
no, I think
the
masks
efficacy
are okay.
of
You have
masks?
to understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test, and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to. But I wear masks when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. I will say this.
Vice President Biden, go ahead, sir.
Look, the way to open businesses is give them the wherewithal to be able to open. We provided money.
But I was asking you, sir, about masks.
Well, masks make a big difference. His own head of the CDC said if we just wore masks between now, everybody wore masks in social distance between now and January, we'd probably save up to 100,000 lives. It matters.
And they've also said the opposite. They've also said
no serious person said the opposite.
They've
no
also said, well, look
serious.
at Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci said the opposite.
He did not say the opposite.
We got a little bit more than a minute left in this segment.
Masks are not good. Then he changed his mind. He said masks good. I'm okay with masks.
I want to ask you both about one last subject, because your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned. President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds packed together, thousands of people. Outside, yes, sir, agreed. Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller events with...
Because nobody will show up.
People with...
Well, it's true. Nobody shows up to his rallies.
All right. In any case, why you holding the big rallies? Why you not? You go first, sir.
Because people want to hear what I have to say. I mean,
but are you not worried
great
about it
job
spreading
as a
disease?
president, and I'll have 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
Are you not worried about the disease issues, sir?
We have a lot of people. Well, so far, we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside. That's a big difference, according to the experts. And we do them outside. We have tremendous crowds, as you see. I mean, and literally on 24 hours notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
Okay. By the way, did you see one of the last big rallies he had? And a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, no, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested? I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing in one another.
We've had no negative effect.
No negative effect.
We've had no negative effect. And we've had 35,000, 40,000 people.
Do you want to just quickly finish up, because I want to move on to our next.
Yes, I would. He's been totally irresponsible the way in which he has handled the social distancing and people wearing masks, basically encouraged them not to.
All right.
He's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. Nobody cares.
Gentlemen, can we
I'm
move
going to say it's a hypothetical, but I'm going to say that's an absolute lie.
The economy is, I think it's fair to say, recovering faster than expected from the shutdown.
Much faster.
In the second quarter, the unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal Reserve says the hit to growth, which is going to be there, is not going to be nearly as big as they had expected. President Trump, you say we are in a V-shaped recovery. Vice President Biden, you say it's more of a K-shape. What difference does that mean to the American people in terms of the economy? President Trump, in this segment, you go first.
So we built the greatest economy in history. We closed it down because of the China plague. When the plague came in, we closed it down, which was very hard psychologically to do. He didn't think we should close it down, and he was wrong. And again, 2 million people would be dead now instead of still 204,000 people is too much. One person is too much. Should have never happened from China. But what happened is we closed it down, and now we're reopening, and we're doing record business. We had 10.4 million people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce. That's a record the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. And he wants to close down he will shut it down again. He will destroy this country. You know, a lot of people, between drugs and alcohol and depression, when you start shutting it down, you take a look at what's happening at some of your Democrat-run states where they have these tough shutdowns. And I'm telling you, it's because they don't want to open it. One of them came out last week. You saw that. Oh, we're going to open up on November 9th. Why November 9th? Because it's after the election. They think they're hurting us by keeping them closed. They're hurting people. People know what to do. They can social distance. They can wash their hands. They can wear masks. They can do whatever they want. But they got to open these states up. When you look at North Carolina, when you look, and these governors are under siege, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and a couple of others, you got to open these states up. It's not fair. You're talking about almost it's like being in prison. And you look at what's going on with divorce. Look at what's going on with alcoholism and drugs. It's a very, very sad thing. And he'll close.
It is nothing like being in prison, and Trump will soon find that out.
Down the whole country. This guy will close down the whole country and destroy our country. Our country is coming back incredibly well, setting records as it does it. We don't need somebody to come in and say, let's shut it down.
All right. Your 2 minutes, sir. We're now moved to you. As I said, posing the question, the president says it's a V-shaped recovery. You say it's a K-shaped recovery. What's the difference?
The difference is millionaires and billionaires like him in the middle of the COVID crisis have done very well. Billionaires have made another $300 billion because of his profligate tax proposal, and he only focused on the market. But you folks at home, you folks living in Scranton and Claymont and all the small towns and working class towns in America, how well are you doing? This guy paid a total of $750 in taxes.
Sir, wait, no, sir, it's just the wrong statement. Yeah, I understand. You've agreed to the 2 minutes, so please let him have it.
Do I get my time back? The fact is that he has, in fact, worked on this in a way that he's going to be the first president of the United States to leave office having fewer jobs in his administration than when he became president. Fewer jobs than when he became president. First one in American history. Secondly, the people who have lost their jobs are those people who have been on the front lines, those people who have been saving our lives, those people who have been out there dying, people who've been putting themselves in the way to make sure that we could all try to make it. And the idea that he is insisting that we go forward and open when you have almost half the states in America with a significant increase in COVID deaths and COVID cases in the United States of America. And he wants to open it up more. Why does he want to open it up? Why doesn't he take care of the American? You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis. And he has no intention of doing anything about making it better for you all at home in terms of your health and your safety. Schools. Why aren't schools open? Because it costs a lot of money to open them safely. You know, they were going to give, his administration was going to give the teachers and school students masks. And then they decided, no, couldn't do that because it's not a national emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses. Nothing. They're closing. 1 in 6 is now gone. He ought to get on the job and take care of the needs of the American people so we can open safely.
All right. Your time is up, sir. Well, we are going to get to
I have to respond to that.
Well, you both had 2 minutes, sir.
Excuse me, he made a statement.
So did you.
People want their schools. People want their schools open. They don't want to be shut down. They don't want their state shut down.
No. Do not let him talk. Do not let him talk right now. 2 minutes. That's that.
Want their rest.
The Trump campaign agreed to these rules.
I look at New
Shut
York.
them down,
it's so
Chris.
sad what's happening in New York. It's almost like a ghost town, and I'm not sure it can ever recover what they've done in New York. People want their places open. They want to get back to their lives. They'll
want
be
to be
careful,
safe.
but they want their schools open.
People want
I'm
to
the
be
one that
safe.
brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football. It was me, and I'm very happy to do it. And
All right,
people of Ohio are very proud of me. And you know how I found out? When he took a
Gentlemen,
phony
we're going to
ad.
get to your economic plans going forward in a moment. But first, Mr. President, as you well know, there's a new report that in 2016, the year you were elected president, and 2017, your first year as president, that you paid $750 a year in federal income tax each of those years. I know that you pay a lot of other taxes, but I'm asking you the specific question. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars of income tax. And let me just tell you, there was a story in one of the papers.
Show us your tax
I paid $38 million one year. I paid $27 million
Show us your tax
one year.
returns.
I went. You'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it. You know, if you want to go to the Board of Elections. There's a 118-page or so report that says everything I have.
For those of you who watched the Clinton-Trump debate from 2016 earlier with the rest of us, this is just deja vu. This is exactly what he says. Go look at a financial disclosure report, which does not give you the information that taxes give you.
Every bank I have, I'm totally under-leveraged because the assets are extremely good. And we have a very,
Still hasn't answered the question.
A specific question, which is.
Let me tell you.
Good, Chris. Ask him. Ask him.
No, Mr. President. I'm asking you a question. Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
So
yes.
not 750.
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see it. But let me just tell you, Chris, let me just tell you something, that it was the tax laws. I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every other private person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is. He passed a tax bill that gave us all these privileges for depreciation and for tax credits. We build a building and we get tax credits, like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You get a massive, which, by the way, was given to me by the Obama administration, if you can believe that. Now, the man got fired right after that happened. But
Vice President Biden, you want to respond?
Yeah, I do want to respond. Look, the tax code that made him, put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher makes, on the money a school teacher makes, is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts. And I'm going to eliminate those tax cuts and make sure that we invest in the people who, in fact, need the help. People out there need help.
But why didn't you do it over the last 25 years?
Because you weren't president. Because you weren't president screwing things up.
You were a senator. And
You're
by
the
way,
worst
you were
president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just tell you, Joe. I've done more in 47 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe. We've done things.
You haven't
that
been
you
here
never
for
even
47
thought
months.
of, including fixing the
do the
broken
math.
military
Tell him, Joe.
that you gave me, including taking care of your
talking,
vets.
Mr. President, we're talking about the economy. I'd like to ask you about your plans going forward, because, Mr. Vice President, your economic plan, if you were to be elected president, focuses a lot on big government, big taxes, big spending. I want to focus first on the taxes. You propose more than $4 trillion over a decade in new taxes on individuals making more than $400,000 a year and on corporations. President Trump says that that kind of an increase in taxes is going to hurt the economy as it's just coming out of a recession.
Well, just take a look at what the analysis done by Wall Street firms. Points out that my economic plan would create 7 million more jobs than his in 4 years, number one. And number two, it would create an additional $1 trillion in economic growth, because it would be about buying American. That we're going to make the federal government spend $600 billion a year on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like. And under my proposal, we're going to make sure that every penny of that has to be made by a company.
But respectfully, sir, I'm talking about taxes, not spending.
By the way, I'm going to eliminate a significant number of the tax. I'm going to make the corporate tax 28%. It shouldn't be 21%. You have 91 companies, in the Fortune 500 who don't pay a single penny in tax, making billions of dollars.
Why didn't you do it
Billions
before
of
when you were vice president with Obama?
Because you, in fact, passed that. That was your tax proposal.
I got it done, and you know what happened?
Yeah, you got it done.
Our economy boomed like it's never boomed.
The economy is
Mr.
busted.
President,
Let me finish.
Mr. President, let me pick up on that. You would continue your free market approach, lower taxes, more deregulation, correct?
Not lower taxes for the American people.
Excuse me.
But in Obama's, you talk about the economy booming. It turns out that in Obama's final 3 years as president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slowest recovery since economic recovery
and you
since
slowed it down.
1929. It was the slowest recovery.
And you slowed it down.
They took
more.
over something that was down here. All you had to do is turn on the lights and you pick up a lot. But they had the slowest economic recovery since 1929. Let me tell you about the stock market. When the stock market goes up, that means jobs. It also means 401ks. If you got in, if you ever became president with your ideas, you want to terminate my taxes, I'll tell you what, you'll lose half of the companies that have poured in here will leave, and plenty of companies that are already here, they'll leave for other places. They will leave, and you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen.
Look, we inherited the worst recession short of a depression in American history. I was asked to bring it back. We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs you're talking about. We handed him a booming economy. He blew it.
It wasn't booming.
He blew it.
It wasn't booming. It was the weakest recovery since 1929.
Is it fair to say he blew it when, in fact, when there was record low unemployment before COVID?
Yeah, but because what he did,
no,
even
only
before
certain
COVID,
groups, Chris.
manufacturing went in the hole. Manufacturing went in a hole.
Excuse
number
me,
one.
Chris.
That's true.
Number two.
Chris,
number three.
They said it would take. No, you're on number two.
No.
Chris. They said it would take a miracle to bring back manufacturing. I brought back 700,000 jobs. They brought back nothing. They gave up on manufacturing. Part of my standard fare.
I'm the guy that brought back the automobile industry.
All right, let him.
We brought back. I was asked to bring back Chrysler and General Motors. We brought them back right here in the state of Ohio and Michigan. He blew it. They're gone. He blew it. And in fact, they're going.
Ohio had the best year it's ever had last year. Michigan had the best year they've ever had.
That is not
Many
true.
car companies came in from Germany, from Japan, went to Michigan, went to Ohio.
They're not having.
And they didn't come in with you.
Mr. Vice President, go ahead.
And so you take a look at what he's actually done. He's done very little. His trade deals are the same way. He talks about these great trade deals. You know, he talks about the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit with China now than we did before. We have the highest trade deficit with Mexico.
China ate your lunch, down 18%. China ate your lunch, Joe, and no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars. Takes out billions of dollars to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also, while we're at it, why is it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million. What did he do to deserve it? What did he do with
no evidence of that
to deserve $183,000?
You've asked a question, let him answer.
None of that is true.
Oh, really?
Totally, Mr. President,
Mr.
President, please.
Totally discredited. Totally discredited. And by the way,
well, wait, he didn't get $3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice,
he got $3.5 million.
It is not true.
Oh, really?
Mr. President, it's an open discussion, please.
It's a fact.
Well, you have raised an issue. Let the Vice President answer.
Discredited.
Did Burisma pay him $183,000 a month with no experience in energy?
Mr. President,
my son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
Mr. President, let him answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thoroughly discredited.
By who?
And
the media?
By everybody. Well, by the, media, by our allies, by the World Bank. by everyone
What
has
did Trump just say?
discredited. Matter of fact, even the people who testified under oath.
So let me ask you this, Joe.
No, go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to you.
People under,
you got $3.5 million from Moscow.
He testified under oath, and his administration said, "I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I
really?
did it
I'd like
honorably."
to know who they are.
Well, I'll give you the list of the people who testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good job.
Some people don't do a good job. With you,
go ahead. Wait a minute. You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me.
Hey, let me just say, Joe.
No. Mr. President.
$3.5 million, Joe.
I'm giving him a point for that.
Why did he deserve $3.5 million from Moscow?
Look, here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night. His family's already...
My family lost a fortune by coming down and helping us with government.
This is going to bug the independents. The fact that he's not letting a man talk. Now, when he was interrupting Hillary all the time, oh, you know, this uppity woman, she's so shrill, blah, blah, blah. I'm being serious. People are sexist, but independents are not going to like him talking over the vice president.
And that's such a...
Mr. President.
Now, I'm not saying I feel that way. Don't get me wrong. I'm listening to Hillary. We just watched it. You saw. But people perceive things that way. One of the greatest commercials, the progressive commercial with Flo, where the guy's like, "Shh, men are talking." They stopped showing that because it upset so many people, but it was super funny.
Every single one of them lost.
This is not about my family or his family. It's about your family, the American people. He doesn't. That's not true. It doesn't want to talk about what you need. You, the American people. It's about you. That's what we're talking about.
All right. That's the end of the segment. We're moving on.
He didn't take them.
Well,
Vice President. No.
Can I be honest? It's a very important
question. Try to be honest.
He stood up.
No. The answer to the question is no.
Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion.
I just want to give Chris some points. The answer to the question is no. Sir? The answer to the question, sir.
You know what? You're not true.
You're going to have
true.
Gentlemen. I hate to raise my voice, but it seems to be, why shouldn't I be different than the two of you? So here's the deal.
Good point.
We have 6 segments. We have ended that segment. We're going to go to the next segment. In that segment, you each are going to have 2 uninterrupted moments. In those 2 uninterrupted minutes, Mr. President, you can say anything you want. I'm going to ask a question about race, but if you want to answer about something else, go ahead. But I think that the country would be better served if we allowed both people to speak with fewer interruptions. I'm appealing to you, sir, to do that.
Well, and him too.
Well, frankly, you've been doing more interrupting
Well, that's
than
all right, but he does plenty.
Well, less than, sir, less than
plenty.
No, less than you have. Let's please continue on. The issue of race. Vice President Biden, you say that President Trump's response to the violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when he talked about very fine people on both sides, was what directly led you to launch this run for president.
Oh, yeah, sure.
President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for black Americans than any president, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. My question for the two of you is, why should voters trust you rather than your opponent to deal with the race issues facing this country over the next 4 years? Vice President Biden, you go first.
It's about equity and equality. It's about decency. It's about the Constitution. And we have never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America. But we've never accomplished it. But we've never walked away from it like he has done. It is true. The reason I got in the race is when those people, close your eyes, remember what those people look like coming out of the fields carrying torches, their veins bulging, just spewing anti-Semitic bile, and accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed. And they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on both sides. No president's ever said anything like that.
It is who's
now, second point I'd make to you is that when Floyd was killed, when Mr. Floyd was killed, there was a peaceful protest in front of the White House. What did he do? He came out of his bunker, had the military use tear gas on them so we could walk across to a church and hold up a Bible. And then what happened after that? The bishop of that very church said that it was a disgrace. The general who was with him said all he ever wants to do is divide people, not unite people at all. This is a president who has used everything as a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred, racist division. This is a man who, in fact, you talk about helping African Americans. 1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus. And if he doesn't do something quickly, by the end of the year, 1 in 500 will have been killed. 1 in 500 African Americans. This man is a savior of African Americans. This man cares at all. This man's done virtually nothing. Look, the fact is that you have to look at what he talks about. You have to look at what he did. And what he did has been disastrous for the African-American community.
So, President Trump, you have 2 minutes. Why should Americans trust you over your opponent to deal with racism?
He did a crime bill, 1994, where you call them super predators, African Americans, the super predators, and they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
No, sir, it's his 2 minutes.
So you did that, and they call you a super predator, and I'm letting people out of jail now that you have treated
Joe
the
Biden's never said that. That was Hillary.
Population community. You have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the 1990, and that's why, if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time, because they saw what you did. You call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that. Because you look back at your testimony over the years, you've called them a lot worse than that. As far as the church is concerned, and as far as the generals are concerned, we just got the support of 250 military leaders and generals, total support. Law enforcement, almost every law enforcement group in the United States. I have Florida, I have Texas, I have Ohio, I have Portland. The sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump. I don't think you have any law enforcement. You can't even say the word law enforcement, because if you say those words, you're going to lose all of your radical left supporters. And why aren't you saying those words, Joe? Why don't you say the words law enforcement? Because you know what? If they called us in Portland, we would put out that fire in a half an hour, but they won't do it because they're run by radical left Democrats. If you look at Chicago, if you look at any place you want to look, Seattle, they heard we were coming in the following day, and they put up their hands, and we got back Seattle. Minneapolis, we got it back, Joe, because we believe in law and order, but you don't. The top 10 cities and just about the top 40 cities are run by Democrats and, in many cases, radical left. And they've got you wrapped around their finger, Joe, to a point where you don't want to say anything about law and order. And I'll tell you what, the people of this country want and demand law and order, and you're afraid to even say it.
All right. I want to return to the question of race. Vice President Biden, after the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case decided not to charge any of the police with homicide, you said it raises the question, quote, whether justice could be equally applied in America. Do you believe that there is a separate but unequal system of justice for blacks in this country?
Yes, there is. There's systemic injustice in this country, in education and work and in law enforcement and the way in which it's enforced. But look, the vast majority of police officers are good, decent, honorable men and women. They risk their lives every day to take care of us. But there are some bad apples. And when they occur, when they find them, they have to be sorted out. They have to be held accountable. They have to be held accountable. And what I'm going to do as President of the United States is call together an entire group of people at the White House, well, everything from the civil rights groups to the police officers, the police chiefs, and we're going to work this out. We're going to work this out so we change the way in which we have more transparency in when these things happen. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to George Floyd. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to Breonna Taylor. Most don't like it. But we have to have a system where people are held accountable. And by the way, violence in response is never appropriate. Never appropriate. Peaceful protest is. Violence is never appropriate.
All right,
what is peaceful protest? When they run through the middle of the town and burn down your stores and kill people all over the place,
that
and you
is
say
not
peaceful protest?
President Trump,
No, it's
I'm not asking.
But you say it is.
President Trump, I'd like to continue with the issue of race. I promise we're going to get to the issue of law and order in a moment. This month, your administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training? And do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country, sir?
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution that was taking place in our military, in our schools, all over the place, and you know it, and so does everybody else. And he would know.
What is radical
totally
about racial sensitivity training?
If you were a certain person, you had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal. And if you look at the people, we were paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas and, frankly, very sick ideas.
Hundreds of thousands of
dollars. And
dollars.
really, they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen. We have to go back to the core values of this country. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place, it's a racist place, and they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Vice President Biden?
Nobody's doing that. He's the racist.
You just don't know.
Here's the deal. I know a lot more about this than he does.
Let him finish.
The fact is that there is racial insensitivity. People have to be made aware of what other people feel like, what insults them, what is demeaning to them. It's important that people know they don't want to. Many people don't want to hurt other people's feelings, but it makes a big difference. It makes a gigantic difference in the way a child is able to grow up and have a sense of self-esteem. It's a little bit like how this guy and his friends look down on so many people. They look down their nose on people like Irish Catholics like me and grew up in Scranton. They look down on people who don't have money. They look down on people who are of a different faith. They look down on people who are a different color. In fact, we're all Americans. The only way we're going to bring this country together is bring everybody together. There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together. We can take this on and we can defeat racism in America.
President Trump, sir.
During the Obama-Biden administration, there was tremendous division. There was hatred. You look at Ferguson, you go to many places. Look at Oakland. Look what happened in Oakland. Look what happened in Baltimore. Look what happened. Frankly, it was more violent than what I'm even seeing now.
Oh, my
but
Lord.
The reason is that the Democrats that run these cities don't want to talk like you about law and order.
Violent
you
crime.
still haven't mentioned. Are you in favor of law and order?
I'm in favor of law. You follow.
Are you in favor of law and order? Go
yes,
ahead.
I'm in favor.
You asked a question. Let him finish.
Law and order.
Law and order.
Let him answer.
Law and order with justice, where people get treated fairly. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 17%, 15% in our administration.
All right.
It's gone up on his watch.
Went down much more than ours.
All right, we're now. Mr. President, you're going to. Mr. President,
every record in the
Mr.
book.
President,
this isn't the 2-minute time. This is the open discussion time. They're allowed to interrupt each other right now.
Going to be very happy.
And Chris is just trying to control it.
Because we're now going to talk about law and order.
Places we had trouble were Democratic-run cities.
That's exactly my question. There has been a dramatic increase in homicides in America this summer particularly, and you often blame that on Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, but in fact there have been equivalent spikes in Republican-led cities like Tulsa and Fort Worth. So the question is this really a party issue?
I think it's a party issue. You can bring in a couple of examples, but if you look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53 people were shot and 8 died shot. If you look at New York, where it's going up like nobody's ever seen anything, the numbers are going up 100, 150, 200%. Crime. It is crazy what's going on. And he doesn't want to say law and order because he can't, because he'll lose his radical left supporters. And once he does that, it's over with. But if he
just flashback 30 seconds, he just said law and order and justice.
Ever got to run this country and they ran it the way he would want to run it, our suburbs would be gone. By the way, our suburbs would be gone, and you would see problems like you've never seen.
He would know a suburb unless he took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know suburbs.
He would not.
So much
Wait a minute. I was raised in the suburbs. This is not 1950. All these dog whistles on racism don't work anymore. Suburbs are by and large integrated. There's many people today driving their kids to soccer practice and or to black and white and Hispanic in the same car car as there have been any time in the past. What really is a threat to the suburbs and their safety is his failure to deal with COVID. They're dying in the suburbs. His failure to deal with the environment. They're being flooded. They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything. That's why the suburbs are in trouble.
I do want to talk about this issue of law and order, though. And in the joint recommendation that came from the Biden-Bernie Sanders task force, you talked about, quote, reimagining policing. Yeah. First of all, what does reimagining policing mean, and do you support?
It means.
Let me, if I might finish the question. What does reimagining policing mean, and do you support the Black Lives Matter call for community control of policing?
Look, what I support is the police having the opportunity to deal with the problems they face. And I'm totally opposed to defunding the police officers. As a matter of fact, local police, the only one defunding in his budget calls for a $400 million cut in local law enforcement assistance. They need more assistance. They need, when they show up for a 9/11 call, to have someone with them as a psychologist or psychiatrist to keep them from having to use force and be able to talk people down. We have to have community policing like we had before, where the officers get to know the people in the communities. That's when crime went down. It didn't go up, it went down. And so we have to be engaged.
That's not what they're talking about, Chris. That's not what they're talking about. He's talking about defunding the police.
That is not true.
He doesn't have any law support. He has no law.
He just said he was against defunding the police. And Chris should be shutting Trump up right about now.
That's not true.
Almost
That's
nothing.
Look.
Oh, really? Who do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you. Go ahead.
Look,
think. We have time.
We don't have time to do anything.
No, think about it. Name one law enforcement group that came out and supported you.
Gentlemen, I think I'm going to take back the moderator's role, and I want to get to another subject, which is the issue of protests in many cities that have turned violent. In Portland, Oregon, especially, we had more than 100 straight days of protests, which I think you would agree. You talk about peaceful protests. Many of those turned into riots. Mr. Vice President, you say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question I have, though, is, as the Democratic nominee, and earlier tonight you said that you are the Democratic Party right now, have you ever called the Democratic mayor of Portland or the Democratic governor of Oregon and said, hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard, do whatever it takes, but you stop the days and months of violence in Portland?
I don't hold public office now.
Yeah.
I am a former vice president. I've made it clear. I've made it clear in my public statements that the violence should be prosecuted. It should be prosecuted, and anyone who commits it.
But you've never called for the people, the leader. Excuse me, sir. You have never called for the leaders in Portland and in Oregon to call and bring in the National Guard and knock off 100 days of riots.
They can, in fact, take care of it if he just stay out of the way. Look here.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Here's the thing.
I sent in the U.S. Marshals to get the killer of the young man in the middle of the street. They shot him, and for 3 days,
President Trump,
Portland wouldn't do anything. I had to send in the U.S. Marshals. They took care of business.
Go ahead, sir.
He left. The guy left Oregon. So, yeah, the police in Portland couldn't do anything about the guy who shot the other guy. By the way, it was self-defense. The other guy tried to mace him. It's on video. The murder or self-defense is actually on video. One guy drew on the other guy, so he got shot. The Trump supporter drew the Proud Boy. No, he wasn't Proud Boy. Excuse me. He was a Patriot prayer guy or prayer patriot, whatever. He drew on the guy, and it happened so quickly that the guy with the gun thought, hey, I'm going to get shot here, or whatever it was. And in Oregon, are you allowed to defend yourself if you're about to get maced? If you have a reasonable suspicion you're about to be hurt, yes, be harmed. Yeah, it doesn't have to be equal force in Oregon. In fact, it doesn't really have to be equal force anywhere in this country. Patriot prayer guy, thank you very much. But yeah, anyway, so then the guy left. The guy was killed by the U.S. Marshals near Tumwater, Lacey, Washington, which is up by Seattle.
And by the way, his own former spokesperson said, riots and chaos and violence help his cause. That's what this is all about.
I don't know who said that.
She did.
Do.
Who?
I think Kellyanne Conway.
I don't think she said that.
She said that.
She did say that.
And so here's the
all right.
Well, here's the point.
Go ahead.
The point is that's what he keeps trying to rile everything up. he doesn't want to calm things down. Instead of going in and talking to people and saying, let's get everybody together, figure out how to deal with this. What's he do? He just pours gasoline in the fire constantly, and every single solitary time.
And to end this, button up this segment, I'm going to give you a minute to answer, sir. You have repeatedly criticized.
I have to answer his statement.
You have
His
repeatedly.
statement. Wait,
you have
just one
no,
second.
you've been talking back and forth.
You made a statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to
you know,
end it.
sir.
I would love to end it. and
You know,
we
if
would
you want to
very-
switch seats.
We could very quickly.
We could do that, but
I'd send in the National Guard, it would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay.
But they don't want to accept the National Guard.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that
why
they
set 'em up for
need
this?
to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm willing
prepared to
do
specifically
that, but
do it?
Well,
I
go
would
ahead,
say
sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name. Go ahead.
supremacists and
Who would
right
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing.
FBI director
This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Not militia. That's what his FBI, FBI director
Gentlemen,
said.
Well, then you know what?
We're done, sir. We're moving on to the next. We're moving.
When a bat hits you over the head, that's not an idea.
Everybody in
Antifa
your
is
administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no ideas.
Antifa is a dangerous,
All right,
radical
gentlemen,
group.
we're now moving on to the Trump
And
and
you ought to be
Biden
careful with
records.
them. They'll overthrow you.
When a president, I'm going to ask a question. When the president seeks a second term, it is generally a referendum on his record. But Vice President Biden, you like to quote one of your dad's sayings, which is, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. And in this case, sir, you are the alternative. Looking at both of your records, I'm going to ask each of you, why should voters elect you president over your opponent? In this segment, President Trump, you go first, 2 minutes.
Because there has never been an administration or president who has done more than I've done in a period of 3.5 years. And that's despite the impeachment hoax. And you saw what happened today with Hillary Clinton, where it was a whole big con job. But despite going through all of these things, where I had to fight both flanks and behind me and above, there has never been an administration that's done what I've done. The greatest, before COVID came in, the greatest economy in history, lowest unemployment numbers. Everything was good. Everything was going. And by the way, there was unity going to happen. People were calling me for the first time in years. They were calling and they were saying, it's time maybe. And then what happened? We got hit, but now we're building it back up again. A rebuilding of the military, including Space Force and all of the other things. A fixing of the VA, which was a mess under him. 308,000 people died because they didn't have proper health care. It was a mess. And we now got a 91% approval rating at the VA, our vets. We take care of our vets. But we've rebuilt our military. The job that we've done, and I'll tell you something, some people say maybe the most important. By the end of the first term, I'll have approximately 300 federal judges and Court of Appeals judges, 300, and hopefully 3 great Supreme Court justices. That is a record the likes of which very few people, and you know one of the reasons I'll have so many judges? Because President Obama and him left me 128 judges to
Usually
fill.
he says 100.
When you leave office, you don't leave
142.
any judges. That's
It was
like you just
104.
don't do that. They left 128 openings, and if I were a
128
member
suddenly.
of his party, because they have a little different philosophy, I'd say if you left us 128 openings, you can't be a good president, you can't be a good vice president. But I want to thank you because it gives us almost, it'll probably be above that number by the end of this term. 300 judges. It's a record.
Looking at both your records, why
it won't
should
be.
voters elect you president as opposed to President Trump? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Under this president, we become weaker,
Looking at
sicker,
both your records,
poorer,
why should
more divided, and more violent. When I was vice president, we inherited a recession. I was asked to fix it. I did. We left him a booming economy, and he caused a recession. With regard to being weaker, the fact is that I've gone head-to-head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take any of his stuff. He's Putin's puppy. He still refuses to even say anything to Putin about the bounty on the heads of American soldiers.
Your son got $3.5 million.
That's right. And by the way,
Chris, he said Antifa is going to overthrow Biden.
My son.
Wait a minute. Mr. President, your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2-minute answers uninterrupted. Well, your side agreed to it, and why don't you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
He never keeps his word. Can you add back
No, I'm not asking. That was a rhetorical question.
Can you
Go
add
ahead,
back
sir.
30 seconds?
Yeah, yes,
okay.
you may have.
All right.
Yes, that's a win for Biden.
Thirdly, we're poor. The billionaires have gotten much more wealthy by a tune of over $300 to $400 billion more just since COVID. You in the home, you got less. You're in more trouble than you were before. In terms of being more violent, when we were in office, there were 15% less violence in America than there is today. He's president of the United States. It's on his watch. And with regard to more divided, the nation can't stay divided. We can't be this way. And speaking of my son, the way you talk about the military, the way you talk about them being losers and being and just being suckers. My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes.
Really?
And I resent.
Are you talking about Hunter? Are you talking about Hunter?
I'm talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He wasn't dishonorably.
Cocaine use.
He wasn't
and
dishonorably.
He didn't have a job until you became vice president. And once you became vice president, he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
that is simply
and various
not
other places.
True.
He made a fortune.
My son,
and he didn't have a job.
My son, like a lot of people, like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him.
But why was he given tens of millions of dollars?
But he wasn't given tens of millions of dollars. That is totally discredited.
We've already been
totally discredited.
We've already been through this. I think the American people would rather hear about more substantial subjects. Well, you know, as the moderator, sir, I'm going to make a judgment call here.
Gets $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow.
Let's talk about
not true.
Gentlemen,
that report is totally discredited.
Mitt
Romney on that committee said it wasn't worth taxpayers' money. That report, it was written for political reasons.
You know, I'd like to talk about climate change.
So would I.
Okay. The forest fires in the West are raging now. They have burned millions of acres. They have displaced hundreds of thousands of people. When state officials there blame the fires on climate change, Mr. President, you said, I don't think the science knows. Over your 4 years, you have pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. You have rolled back a number of Obama environmental records. What do you believe about the science of climate change? And what will you do in the next 4 years to confront it?
I want crystal clean water and air. I want beautiful, clean air. We have now the lowest carbon. If you look at our numbers right now, we are doing phenomenally. But I haven't destroyed our businesses. Our businesses aren't put out of commission. If you look at the Paris Accord, it was a disaster from our standpoint. And people are actually very happy about what's going on because our businesses are doing well. As far as the fires are concerned, you need forest management in addition to everything else. The forest floors are loaded up with trees, dead trees that are years old, and they're like tinder, and leaves and everything else. You drop a cigarette in there, the whole forest burns down. You've got to have forest management.
What do you
You've got to have cuts.
What do you believe about the science of climate change, sir?
I believe that we have to do everything we can to have immaculate air, immaculate water, and do whatever else we can that's good. You know, we're planting 1 billion trees, the Billion Tree Project, and it's very exciting.
You believe
for a lot of people.
that human pollution, greenhouse gas emissions contributes to the global warming of this planet?
I think a lot of things do, but I think to an extent, yes. I think to an extent, yes. But I also think we have to do better management of our forests. Every year, I get the call, California's burning. California's burning.
Yeah.
If that was cleaned, if you had forest management, good forest management,
yes, forest
you wouldn't
management
be getting
is
those
necessary.
calls. You know, in Europe, they live their forest cities. They're called forest cities. They maintain their forests. They manage their forests. I was with the head of a major country.
Finland.
It's a forest city. He said, sir, we have trees.
Finland is not a city.
That are far more, they ignite much easier than California. There shouldn't be that problem. I spoke with the governor about it. I'm getting along very well with the governor. But I said, you know, at some point, you can't every year have hundreds of thousands of acres of land just burned to the ground. That's burning down because of a lack of management.
But, sir, if you believe in the science of climate change, why have you rolled back the Obama Clean Power Plan, which limited carbon emissions in power plants? Why have you relaxed?
Because it was driving energy prices through the sky.
Why have you relaxed fuel economy standards that are going to create more pollution from cars and trucks?
Well, not really, because what's happening is the car is much less expensive and it's a much safer car, and you're talking about a tiny difference. And then what would happen, because of the cost of the car, you would have at least double and triple the number of cars purchased. We have the old slugs out there that are 10, 12 years old. If you did that, the car would be safer. It would be much cheaper by $3,500.
In the case of California, they've simply ignored.
No, but you would take a lot of cars off the market because people would be able to afford a car. Now, and by the way,
so 2 or 3 more times cars are sold, so there's fewer cars.
To see how that turns out. But a lot of people agree with me, many people. The car has gotten so expensive because they have computers all over the place.
Trump thinks that the heavier cars are safer. That's not true, but this is what he thinks. It's technology that makes cars safer.
For an extra little bit of gasoline. And I'm okay with electric cars too.
25%.
I think I'm all for electric cars. I've given big incentives for electric cars. But what they've done in California is just crazy.
Right. Vice President Biden, I'd like you to respond to the president's climate change record, but I also want to ask you about a concern. You proposed $2 trillion in green jobs. You talk about new limits, not abolishing, but new limits on fracking, ending the use of fossil fuels to generate electricity by 2035, and zero net emission of greenhouse gases by 2050. The president says a lot of these things would tank the economy and cost millions of jobs.
He's absolutely wrong, number one. Number two, if in fact, during our administration, the Recovery Act, I was in charge, able to bring down the cost of renewable energy to cheaper than or as cheap as coal and gas and oil. Nobody's going to build another coal-fired plant in America. No one's going to build another oil-fired plant in America. They're going to move to renewable energy, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that we are able to take the federal fleet and turn it into a fleet that's run on their electric vehicles. Making sure that we can do that, we're going to put 500,000 charging stations and all of the highways that we're going to be building in the future. We're going to build an economy that, in fact, is going to provide for the ability us to take 4 million buildings and make sure that they, in fact, are weatherized in a way that, in fact, they'll emit significantly less gas and oil because the heat will not be going out. There's so many things that we can do now to create thousands and thousands of jobs. We can get to net zero in terms of energy production by 2035. Not only not costing people jobs, creating millions of good-paying jobs, not $15 an hour, but prevailing wage, by having a new infrastructure that, in fact, is green. And the first thing I will do, I will rejoin the Paris Accord. I will join the Paris Accord because with us out of it, look what's happening. It's all falling apart. And talk about someone who has no relationship with foreign policy. Brazil, the rainforests of Brazil are being torn down, are being ripped down. More carbon is absorbed in that rainforest than every bit of carbon that's emitted in the United States. Instead of doing something about that, I would be gathering up and making sure we had the countries of the world coming up with $20 billion and say, here's $20 billion. Stop tearing down the forest. And if you don't, then you're going to have significant economic consequences.
What about the argument that President Trump basically says that you have to balance environmental interests and economic interests, and he's drawn his line
Well, he hadn't drawn a line. He still, for example, makes sure that he wants to make sure that methane's not a problem. You can now emit more methane without it being a problem. Methane. This is a guy who says that you don't have to have mileage standards for automobiles that exist now. This is a guy who says that. Well, the fact is, it's all true. And here's the deal.
He's talking about the Green New Deal, and it's not $2 billion or $20 billion, as you said. It's $100 trillion.
I'm talking about
where they want to rip down buildings and rebuild the building.
No,
it's the dumbest, most ridiculous. Where airplanes are out of business, where two-car systems are out, where they want to take out the cows too. You know, that's not true either, right? This is a $100 trillion. Look, that's more money than our country could make in 100 years if we're going by
the case. All right, let me because I actually, wait a minute, sir. I actually have studied your plan, and it includes upgrading 4 million buildings, weatherizing 2 million homes over 4 years, building 1.5 million energy-efficient homes. So the question becomes, the president is saying, I think some people who support the president would say that sounds like it's going to cost a lot of money and hurt the economy.
What it's going to do is going to create thousands and millions of jobs, good-paying jobs.
Let him finish, sir.
For what?
He doesn't know how to do that.
$100 billion.
The fact is, it's going to create millions of good-paying jobs, and these tax incentives for people to weatherize, which he wants to get rid of. It's going to make the economy much safer. Look how much we're paying now to deal with the hurricanes. By the way, he has an answer for hurricanes. He said maybe we should drop a nuclear weapon on them. They may.
I never said that.
That's what he did say.
You made it up.
And here's the deal.
You make up.
We are going to be in a position where we can create hard, good jobs by making sure the environment is clean and we all are in better shape. We spend billions of dollars now. Billions of dollars on floods, hurricanes, rising seas. We're in real trouble. Look what's happened just in the Midwest with these storms that come through and wipe out entire sections and counties in Iowa. That didn't happen before. They're because of global warming. We make up 15% of the world's problem. But the rest of the world, we've got to get them to come along. That's why we have to get back into the Paris Accord.
All right, gentlemen.
Wait a minute, Chris. So why didn't he do it for 47 years? You were vice president. Why didn't you get the world? China sends up real dirt into the air. Russia does. India does. They all do. We're supposed to be good. And by the way, he made a couple of statements. The Green New Deal is $100 trillion.
That is not my plan.
That's
the Green
New
you
want to rebuild every
is
building.
Not my plan.
I want to rebuild every.
If he knew anything about,
he made a statement about the military. He said I said something about the military. He and his friends made it up, and then they went with it. I never said it.
Okay.
No.
He
never said anything about the military. Trump just brought it up.
Stupid bastards.
I
and he
did
said
not
it on
say
tape. He said, "Stupid bastards." He said it.
Stop.
I would never say that.
Play it.
Go ahead, Mr. Vice President. Answered his final question.
The final question is, I can't remember which of all his rantings.
I'm having a little trouble myself, but and about the economy and about this question of what it's going to cost.
The economy.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your environmental changes will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. We're not going to build plants.
No. Say it's your plan.
Your plan.
Pardon me?
Do you support?
No, I don't support the Green New Deal.
You don't? Oh, well, that's a big statement.
I support
that means you just lost the radical left.
I support the Biden plan
Chris just saved him there, by the way, correcting that. He said the Green New Deal. He does not support the Green New Deal. He supports the Biden plan. Chris knows that. Chris saved him on that one because that could have been the end of it. Chris Wallace could have just won the election for Joe Biden.
Put forward.
I'm just kidding. This isn't going to change anybody's mind. Nobody.
Okay.
The Biden plan, which is different than what he calls the radical Green New Deal.
All right, gentlemen, final segment, election integrity. As we meet tonight, millions of Americans are receiving mail-in ballots or going to vote early. How confident should we be that this will be a fair election, and what are you prepared to do over the next 5+ weeks, because it'll not only be to Election Day, but also counting some ballots, mail-in ballots after Election Day. What are you prepared to do to reassure the American people that the next president will be the legitimate winner of this election in this final segment. Mr. Vice President, you go first.
Prepared to let people vote. They should go to iwillvote.com, decide how they're going to vote, when they're going to vote, and what means by which they're going to vote. His own Homeland Security director, and as well as the FBI director, says there is no evidence at all that mail-in ballots are a source of being manipulated and cheating. They said that.
Widespread.
The fact is that
widespread. You have to say widespread.
Because of COVID, that are going to be voting by mail-in ballots, like he does, by the way. He sits behind the Resolute desk and sends his ballot to Florida, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that those people who want to vote in person are able to vote because enough poll watchers are there to make sure they can socially distance. The polls are open on time, and the polls stay open until the votes are counted. And this is all about trying to dissuade people from voting because he's trying to scare people into thinking that it's not going to be legitimate. Show up and vote. You will determine the outcome of this election. Vote, vote, vote. If you're able to vote early in your state, vote early. If you're able to vote in person, vote in person. Vote whatever way is the best way for you, because he cannot stop you from being able to determine the outcome of this election. And in terms of whether or not when the votes are counted, and they're all counted, that will be accepted. If I win, that will be accepted. If I lose, that will be accepted. But by the way, if in fact he says he's not sure what he's going to accept, well, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter, because if we get the votes, it's going to be all over. He's going to go. He can't stay in power. It won't happen. It won't happen. So vote. Just make sure you understand you have it in your control to determine what this country is going to look like the next 4 years. Is it going to change? Or you get 4 more years of these lies?
Mr. President, 2 minutes.
So when...
quick interruption here. I cannot believe Trump stayed quiet. I almost want to give him a point for that.
I listened to Joe talking about a transition. There's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different people, there was no transition, because they came after me trying to do a coup. They came after me spying on my campaign. They started from the day I won, and even before I won, from the day I came down the escalator with our First Lady. They were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country. And we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've got it all on tape. We've caught them all. And by the way, you gave the idea for the Logan Act against General Flynn. You better take a look at that, because we caught you in a sense, and President Obama was sitting in the office. He knew about it too. So don't tell me about a free transition. As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster. A solicited ballot, okay, solicited is okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back, you send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some with the name Trump, just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over the place. They sent 2 in a Democrat area. They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen. The other thing, it's nice on November.
I should give him just like 20 lies points for that, because it's all nonsense.
November 3rd, you're watching and you see who won the election. And I think we're going to do well, because people are really happy with the job we've done. But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months, because these ballots are going to be all over. Take a look at what happened in Manhattan. Take a look at what happened in New Jersey. They're not losing 2%, 1%, which, by the way, is too much. An election could be won or lost with that. They're losing 30 and 40%. It's a fraud, and it's a shame. And can you imagine where they say, you have to have your ballot in by November 10th.
Trump has no concept of where the cameras are. He hasn't addressed the people this entire time.
November 10th.
Ruth Ann, the link to what? Ruth Ann, you keep asking. I'm sorry, I miss every time you ask me for the link. I mean, you ask me for the link. I don't know what you're asking for the link to.
10th. That means that's 7 days after the election, in theory, should have been announced.
Okay.
We have major states with that. Sir, all run by Democrats.
2 minutes is 2 minutes.
All run by Democrats. It's
President Trump,
it's a rigged election.
You're going to be able to continue. You have been charging for months that mail-in balloting is going to be a disaster. You say it's rigged, that it's going to lead to fraud. But in 2018, in the last midterm election, 31 million people voted mail-in voting. That was a quarter, more than a quarter, of all the voters that year cast their ballots by mail. Now that millions of mail-in ballots have gone out, What are you going to do about it? And are you counting on the Supreme Court, including a Justice Barrett, to settle any dispute?
Yeah, I think I'm counting on them to look at the ballots, definitely. I don't think I hope we don't need them in terms of the election itself. But for the ballots, I think so, because what's happening is incredible. I read today, where at least 1% of the ballots for 2016 were invalidated. They take them, we don't like them, we don't like them. They throw them out left and right.
They don't throw them out because they don't like them. That's not how that works.
Millions of ballots going out
What you do is you go and vote. You do a solicited ballot, and that's okay, or you go and vote.
I'm asking you about the fact that millions of people...
You go and vote. You go and vote,
but
like they used to in the old.
Millions of people.
You either do, Chris, a solicited ballot where you're sending it in, they're sending it back, and you're sending. They have mailmen with lots of it. Did you see what's going on? Take a look at West Virginia. Mailmen selling the ballots. They're being sold. They're being dumped in rivers. This is a horrible thing for our country. This is not going to end well.
There is no evidence
this is
of that.
not going to end well.
5 states have had mail-in ballots for the last decade or more. 5, including 2 Republican states. And you don't have to solicit the ballot. It's sent to you. It's sent to your home. What they're saying is that it has to be a postmark by election day. If it doesn't get in till the 7th, 8th, 9th, it still should be counted. He's just afraid of counting the votes because he knows the outcome.
You're wrong.
I want to continue with you on this, Vice President Biden.
Chris, he's so wrong when he makes a statement like that.
Excuse me. Vice President Biden, the biggest problem, in fact, over the years with mail-in voting has not been fraud historically. It has been that sizable numbers, sometimes hundreds of thousands of ballots are thrown out because they have not been properly filled out, or there is some other irregularity, or they missed the deadline. So the question I have is, are you concerned that the Supreme Court with a Justice Barrett will settle any dispute?
I'm concerned that any court would settle this, because here's the deal. When you get a ballot and you fill it out, you're supposed to have an affidavit. If you didn't know, you have someone say that this is me. You should be able to, if in fact you can verify that's you before the ballot is thrown out, that's sufficient to be able to count the ballot because someone made a mistake and not dotting the correct I. Who they voted for, testify, say who they voted for, say it's you. That is totally legitimate.
All right.
Excuse me, Chris, when you have 80 million ballots,
gentlemen, I have a final
Senate
question.
And swamping the system, you know it can't be done. You know it can't, and already there's been
so
fraud.
Mail service delivers 185 million pieces of mail a day.
In 8 states, we can keep talking. In 8 states, election workers are prohibited currently by law, 8 states, from even beginning to process ballots, even take them out of the envelopes and flatten them until Election Day. That means that it's likely, because there's going to be a huge increase in mail-in balloting, that we are not going to know on election night who the winner is, that it could be days, it could be weeks,
could be months,
until we find out who the new president is. So first for you, sir, finally for the Vice President, I hope neither of you will interrupt the other. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm during this extended period, not to engage in any civil unrest? And will you pledge tonight that you will not declare victory until the election has been independently certified? President Trump, you go first.
I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. As you know, today there was a big problem. In Philadelphia, they went in to watch. They're called poll watchers, a very safe, very nice thing. They were thrown out. They weren't allowed to watch. You know why? Because bad things happen in Philadelphia.
Because it's illegal. You cannot watch in a county that you don't live in. And you have to, they have to be appointed. There can be 2 per district or something like that. But Philadelphia has law and order laws. That's why they were kicked out, because they weren't obeying the law.
Philadelphia, bad things. And I am urging my people. I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair election, I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't go along with that. And I'll tell you what,
does that
from
mean,
a common sense,
does that mean you're going to tell your people to take to the street?
It means you have a fraudulent election. You're sending out 80 million ballots. They're not equipped to. These people aren't equipped to handle it, number one. Number two, they cheat. They cheat. Hey, they found ballots in a waste paper basket 3 days ago, and they all had the name military ballots. They were military. They all had the name Trump on them.
Vice President
You think
Biden,
that's good?
Vice President Biden, final question for you. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm while the vote is counted, and will you pledge not to declare victory until the election is independently certified?
Yes, and here's the deal. We count the ballots, as you pointed out. Some of these ballots in some states can't even be opened until Election Day. And if there's thousands of ballots, it's going to take time to do it. And by the way, our military, they've been voting by ballots since the end of the Civil War, in effect. And that's what's going to happen. Why was it not? Why is it for them somehow not fraudulent? It's the same process. It's honest. No one has established at all that there is fraud related to mail-in ballots.
Wow.
That somehow it's a fraudulent process.
It's already been established. Take a look at Carolyn Maloney's race.
You had an opportunity to respond.
Look at Carolyn Maloney.
Go ahead.
They have no idea what
Vice
happened.
President Biden, go ahead.
He has no idea what he's talking about. Here's the deal. The fact is, I will accept it, and he will too. You know why? Because once the winner is declared, after all the ballots are counted, all the votes are counted, that'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it. And if it's me, in fact, fine. If it's not me, I'll support the outcome. And I'll be a president not just for the Democrats. I'll be a president for Democrats and Republicans. And this guy,
I want to see
fact,
an honest ballot count.
Gentlemen, you say that's the end of it? This is the end of this debate?
Honest ballot count.
We're going to leave it there. To be continued as in more debates as we go on. President Trump, Vice President Biden, it's been an interesting hour and a half. I want to thank you both for participating in the first of 3 debates that you have agreed to engage in. We want to thank Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic for hosting this event. The next debate, sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates, will be 1 week from tomorrow, October 7th, at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. The 2 vice presidential nominees, Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris, will debate at 9 p.m. Eastern that night. We hope you watch. Until then, thank you and good night.
96 minutes after beginning, we have an answer to one of the questions. It was, yes, fiery from the beginning. President Donald Trump coming out swinging. Former Vice President Joe Biden at times answering directly to the camera, talking to the American people. Multiple questions, multiple dust-ups. It felt like we covered a lot of territory, Martha, in a very fiery time. Chris Wallace at times had to say, we got to get the reins back here. And both candidates, as they're waving with their spouses, Dr. Joe Biden and the First Lady Melania Trump, both candidates speaking over each other for a lot of it. You know, you wonder who won, who lost. We're going to have a lot of analysis over the next few minutes. But you wonder if America may be lost on the substance of the heart of the issues and whether they really got to them over some of that back and forth.
What'd you guys think? I have a final score, a tally of Trump 70 lies, Biden 4 lies, 2 of which were because, so it's hard to call them lies, but I'm just going to call them lies. Twice he referred to there's no evidence of voter fraud. You have to say widespread or it makes it a lie. There are cases of voter fraud when it comes to mail-in ballots. That's just a fact. So 2 of those are because of that. 1 was because Biden said that Trump didn't do anything to help small businesses. Trump did, in fact, sign the first CARES Act, which gave the PPP loans, which helped the small business. So he didn't do nothing. He did something. Right now, he's doing nothing. But he did do something. So I'm going to credit a lie for Biden. The other one I don't remember. Trump, just anything. He hit 70 tonight. I anticipate it going up next time, especially when it comes to voter fraud. So, what'd you guys think? Who won? I had total points at the end there, and the way I was counting the points was, if it's something that I thought would either ring true with independents or would be something that would spur the base onward. Not the standard stuff like Hunter got $3.5 million, blah, 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 like the stuff that his base already eats up. But something a little bit different, or where Trump appeared to be more presidential, or that's the wrong word, to be stronger because his base loves strong, and there are some independents who will be drawn to him looking like the bigger man. Like, oh yeah, he really seemed to control Biden. I gave him a total of 5 points for that. Biden got 30 points, especially when connecting with the American people, talking directly to the camera. Trump had absolutely no cognition of where the camera was, where he was talking to. It was all attacks on Biden, which is off to the side, which significantly weakens your viewpoint from the standpoint of mind and of the viewer, and spent a lot of time looking down and arguing with Chris Wallace, which doesn't help. It does not help to argue with the moderator. It just it makes you appear petty to Trump. I just heard Nicole Wallace say this wasn't a debate. Trump was the abuser. Chris and Biden were abused. That is an absolutely accurate statement from Nicole Wallace. Biden remains calm and mostly showed sense of humor. He did. Trump showed himself to be the ignorant tyrant. He is emphasis on rant. Yeah, it's true. You can't spell tyrant without rant. Let's go down. Let's go back up on. Let's see what Rachel had to say here. Back up. Let's see if this recorded. It did.
Mock her and try to jump
There's
in.
Joy Reid. One moment.
Integrity of our.
Brian Williams is there too. Applause. The camera door closes.
Including the shouting in Cleveland, as we will keep our camera trained on the hall at the end of this. As you may know, a limited crowd present. What a dark event we have just witnessed.
No spin room, which is awesome. That's the best thing about this year's debate.
The tip of the hat to Cormac McCarthy when we say, if that wasn't a mess, it'll do till the mess gets here. It's
so nice. Joe Biden comes up and asks if it's okay if she goes sees her husband. The debate's over. Did you guys see that? I didn't see what Melania did. I hope that she did too. Let's find out.
At the end
I don't know
of
if we
this,
caught
as
it.
you may know, a limited crowd present. What a dark event we have just witnessed. The tip of the hat to Cormac McCarthy when we say, if that was...
She said hi to somebody, but she didn't look at Chris Wallace.
A mess,
Joe comes up,
till the mess gets
says
here.
thank you, or something. It appears she asked if it's okay that she go up because Chris Wallace motions for her to head that direction. So I think she was asking if that was okay.
As difficult as that was to watch, as the spouses now join both men on stage, as bracing as it is to realize this behavior.
Let's go back and watch the interaction.
We say, if that wasn't a mess, it'll do till the mess gets.
Wow. Watch Trump and Melania interact. Just watch. This is a tale of two marriages right here. This is the women are America right now.
The hall at the end of this, as you may know, a limited crowd present. What a dark event we have just witnessed.
She does not touch him.
The tip of the hat to Cormac McCarthy when we
walks
say,
over,
if that wasn't a mess,
Trump,
it'll do till the mess gets
hey,
here.
She's like,
as difficult as that was to watch, as the spouses now join
they hold hands. Look at that embrace. That's a hug.
As bracing as
I
it
am
is
so
to
proud of you.
realize
That's
this
what that
behavior
says.
is taking place.
They're close
in
to one
pursuit
another.
Of the job we used to refer to as
they're
leader
happy.
Of the free world.
They won. Biden won. It won't make a difference, but Biden won.
There was an incumbent on that stage tonight, a president who passed up an opportunity more than once.
I want to know what Biden said there, and there's a live mic, so we probably will find out what Biden said to Chris. Look at Trump looking at Chris Wallace. Look at that face, Mr. Sourpuss.
To unify.
Kel Kane, let me know what lies you saw from Biden. I'm interested in finding out what lies. And I don't know if you were here chatting with us, but next time join us in advance. And when Biden tells a lie, let me know about it, because I don't know absolutely everything. But yeah, let me know what lies you think, and I'll adjust the board if you come up with a valid lie.
President who passed up an opportunity to pay even passing tribute.
The Trump supporter yelling.
To Joe Biden's dead son who served his country. A president who passed up an opportunity to denounce supremacy groups like the Proud Boys and their ilk, telling them instead to stand back, and added for good measure, stand by. We'll stay on this as all of the participants have cleared the stage now, including the moderator, Chris Wallace, who's been the subject of a lot of talk already tonight.
What channel were you watching, Plagued by Society? Because we can go check that out.
It was all new territory for.
We're gonna cut away from that. We're gonna go over to Fox, which is on a commercial. Nope, sorry, that's NBC. We're gonna go back to Fox, and we're gonna see how they reacted directly after the. Do I have it? I do. Hold on.
Well,
Let's
given
go
that
back.
there was a lot of defense tonight rather than offense in terms of what we would see.
Chris Wallace at times answering directly to the camera.
Oh, they are? They do have different cameras. Typically, it's just a pool camera, but let's see here.
Talking to the American people, multiple questions.
It's a little tap. Just a little. Yeah, okay.
Multiple dust-ups. It felt like we covered a lot of territory, Martha, in a very fiery time. Chris Wallace at times had to say, we got to get the reins back here. And both candidates, as they're waving with their spouses, Dr. Joe Biden and the First Lady Melania Trump, both candidates speaking over each other for a lot of it. You know, you wonder who won, who lost. We're going to have a lot of analysis over the next few minutes. But you wonder if America may be lost on the substance.
America did lose. That is correct. America's been losing for 4 years now. Actually, it's been 5. Did we get... someone had said that Biden lied a bunch. Did we get any of that? I don't know. Somebody came in here and said that Biden lied a bunch 10 times. And nothing. Give me a second. I'm back. Okay, and let's go see what CNN did right at the end of this. CNN probably had its own cameras too, if the other two did. We'll get a different viewpoint on that, perhaps. Let's see. Did it
Everybody
record?
knows either disgusted, sad.
It didn't record. So, and it's not giving me a chance to record it. Is it not? Come on, give me a chance to record it. Wait, it says start from the beginning, so I should have it. Give me a second.
Really one of the most important moments that we've seen in politics, certainly since we've all been covering it.
Oh, it's already on the next hour.
Because of the reason that we were talking about. We are in a pandemic, and people haven't really been able to see these candidates in the traditional ways that we usually see candidates, especially at this late stage of the game. And this is a high-stakes moment no matter what year,
Here we
but
go.
especially right now.
It is there.
Week from tomorrow, October 7th, at the University of Utah.
Clearly, this presidential debate between these two candidates.
Melania.
I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if this is the last presidential debate between
Look
the
at that
president
hug.
of the United States.
That is the worst hug in the history of hugs. This is, I was touching you. That's touching. I got to work on my Melania. What's going on here?
The former
Hold on.
vice president of the United States, but we shall see fairly soon. Joe Biden clearly showed up today. He went head-to-head with the president of the United States, who was often put on the defensive, interrupting the vice president repeatedly. This will certainly be a relief to a lot of the Biden supporters who are going into this debate fairly nervous. The former vice president clearly showed up. Jake, a lot to analyze and discuss.
Oh, okay. So I just got a note from David with Snopes. Mike Reese on Twitter said that the Portland sheriff said, I have never supported Donald Trump and will never. By the way, the Portland sheriff isn't in charge of the police in Portland. The police in Portland are actually, the police chief in Portland is actually the mayor, as I understand it. Not that I'm an expert on the Portland police, but that's part of the issue of what's going on there. So I'm going to add another lie there. Thank you for filling me in on that, David, if you're still watching. Joe Biden made a joke about earpieces, so good on him. I should give him another point for that, but he can't get one. So, guys, it's been a pleasure. Another lie for Trump. Yeah, I put that up there. Anything else, guys? Did the person who said that Biden lied 10 times, did we ever hear back from him? Did anybody, were there lies that I missed, guys? You couldn't tell Trump was going so rapidly. 71. Trump was going so rapidly that I didn't even have time to tell you when he was lying. Most of the lies were obvious. Thank you, David, for sending me that the tweet.
Well,
if I did miss a Biden lie, let me know. Let's see what Jake thought.
That was a hot mess.
Is Fox saying that Biden wore an earpiece right now? Let's go check that out.
With our breathtaking landscapes.
Let's go back. Who do they have?
Differences in this country. So to me, I don't think it changed a lot.
None of them would say it. And now our commercial. So Rich,
and with our low tax.
I don't know if producer Rich is just making that up. Did Trump, the producer Rich, did Trump touch the mic at the beginning? We did not see the very beginning. Let's watch. Here it is.
Roughly 100. You see Chris Wallace getting ready.
Biden.
Go ahead.
From the health education President Joe discussion for the two.
For those of you joining us for the first time, this is the live stream. This is what we do. We speak truth to power. We fact check as it happens. Sometimes a little bit delayed because we'll like to pause things and dissect them as they happen. Producer Rich, who's in here, loves to always watch to see if Trump needlessly adjusts the mic, because that's what he does. If there's a microphone, Trump will touch it, move it around, and put it right back to where it was. They did have tall mics on these lectures. Let's see if he did.
Shake hands at the beginning of tonight's debate. The audience here.
Yep. Go ahead, just get to the peoples. Here we go. Here comes Trump.
How you doing, man? How are you? I'm well.
Gentlemen, a lot of people.
So disappointed. I am so sorry for you, Rich. He does not touch the mic.
Waiting for this night, so let's get going. Our first subject is the.
Who answers the first question?
To consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden used.
Sometimes he'll right before he starts speaking, he adjusts it.
Say that this is an effort by the president and Republicans to jam through an appointment and what you call an abuse of power. My first question to both of you tonight: why are you right in the argument you make and your opponent wrong? And where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court? President Trump, in this first segment, you go first. 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chris. I will tell you very simply, we won the election. Elections have consequences.
Nope, he doesn't touch the mic. This is a sad, sad night. Dr. Howard wants an answer to the question. She DM'd me. Okay, I'll see if I can do that. Give me a second to get to it here. And boy, Dr. Howard is asking, Kevin, if we are successful in raising $1,000, will you keep your word on allowing Kevin Lee Daughter to cut your hair live on October 3rd during the broadcast? Yes. Yes, I will. If you can raise $1,000, and I will make that video for you. I've been doing so much. I have so many videos to put together for the charity, and I apologize. I haven't been able to be as present as I like to be. I haven't been able to broadcast everything. Luckily, the last couple of days, it's been kind of slow because the candidates have been getting ready for the debates. So I haven't been as interactive with you as I'd like to be. But I am doing the charity thing this Saturday, 7 p.m. Pacific, booksandbricks.org. Go look at the site right now. If you'd like to, chip in $5. If you enjoyed this broadcast, chip in a few bucks. It doesn't support me. It supports kids going to school in Kenya, Africa. And of course, they've been hit by COVID and they're poor to begin with. I'll give you some stats on that while we're here. $25 buys 5 books. You can get a college student a computer in Kenya for $275. $6,000 funds a full 4-year college education. And Books and Bricks doesn't like to just get kids through high school. They like to send them all the way through college as well. They want every kid that graduates high school on their program to be guaranteed a scholarship into college as well. Because, of course, especially for the girls, college opened so many doors that were closed to them otherwise. $10,000 builds a library, and they've already built one library. I think they're working on a second. I may have those stats wrong, but I do have pictures of the actual library. So, you got, yeah, so Dr. Howard bugged me about that. I will make a video for you. I have several videos to make for the charity as well. A lot of editing to do. What are you guys talking about in the chat room there? Hold on, let me pull up my chat window so I can see where you guys are. Again, that's booksandbricks.org if you'd like to donate. If you enjoyed this broadcast, if you enjoyed the fact-checking, the scoreboard, being in the chat room, or just watching, if you're watching this delayed, please consider donating to booksandbricks.org. They usually have a charity fundraising dinner every year. They cannot have it this year because I don't know if you've heard about it, but there's this virus going around. So they can't have that charity fundraiser. We're trying to do it by doing a live stream. We don't know if it's going to work, quite frankly. They're trying to get to $45,000. That's their annual budget. Please help if you can. If you can't, just come and join us on the 3rd. Spread the word and get other people who might have some resources to watch and chip in a few bucks. Booksandbricks.org. Moment of silence for charity. I don't know if that's going to do any good, but sure. There we go. Okay, Heavenly Father, can you explain this? Biden is on camera threatening to withhold funds for support unless their son's prosecutors are fired. He said that didn't happen. Well, no one was prosecuting Biden, Hunter Biden. That's not true at all. So, I don't even know how to respond to that. Yeah, there were lies. Like Trump told the same lie multiple times. I tried to keep it just one score per lie. I don't remember Biden even mentioning the Ukrainian prosecutor. But I don't think that, did that come up, guys? I don't think that came up. Hold on. Well, we can check. And this happens a lot. People will say like, oh, how come this? How come that? And they talk about things that had absolutely no bearing on reality or no basis in reality. We can check it. Hold on. It's authenticating. They had a... okay, so... usually they'll have a closed caption summary. They don't right now. Let's see if I can get that out of FactBase. I don't know whether that would be up or not. Okay, I'll just start by looking for Hunter. Press conference, so they don't have the debate up yet. So I can't check that right now. Had I heard that, if it did happen and I'm just not remembering it, okay, Jade is saying it's not about if prosecution occurred. It's Biden telling on camera he told the Ukrainian government he would withhold monies unless they fired a prosecutor investigating Burisma, right? But that's not a lie. That's what he did. By the way, there was no investigation of Burisma at the time. No one. The problem was that prosecutor was not investigating things, which is why our allies, the IMF, which is 185 countries, President Obama, and that's Joe Biden's boss, all told him that prosecutor had to go. Had nothing to do with Hunter Biden. Check out the report, the 87-page Grassley-Johnson report that just came out this week. It investigates it. 2 things are determined. 1, absolutely no laws were broken. 2, not a single government policy was changed or affected. There you go. That's the whole ballgame right there. 3, there are no conflicts of interest, and the conflicts of interest law that they quote, right there at the end of the paragraph, they say, oh, by the way, this doesn't apply to presidents and vice presidents. So it's all pointless. Oh, okay, so give 4 options. Click on the Donna Riley Williams. Let's go there since people are talking about the Books and Bricks. If you're interested in donating to booksandbricks.org, that would be great. Go to booksandbricks.org on your phone or your computer. Click on the donate button when you see it. If you're outside the country, use PayPal. If you're inside the country, click on Donate Online Now. And while you're there, I'll zoom in for you. My mom's fund, you can donate to whatever fund you want to. My mother's fund is the Reverend Donna Riley Williams Memorial Scholarship Fund. it all goes to the same place. So donate wherever you want to, whatever is the easiest for you guys. I'm guessing my dad finds out how many people donated to my mom, and why not make my dad feel good? He's a good guy. You guys want to see my dad? Here's my dad talking about a little bit about the whole thing. This is my dad. He's a member of the board.
Hello, everybody. My name is Cliff Williams. I'm a member of the board of trustees of Books and Bricks Global. I first met Janet and Mike at St. John's Episcopal Church back in about 2012, and at that time became familiar with Books and Bricks Global and started to contribute funds to their program. The initial interest that I had was the fact that we as a family had worked and lived in 2 African countries. It was primarily on water supply projects in rural areas. With that particular work, I got to know some teachers and in particular high school students in the rural areas, as it was the high school and the students that really started the rural water supply programs going, as they would dig the trenches for the water supply lines.
Breathtaking stuff, I know. So that's the kind of thing that we're going to be doing on Saturday. You don't have to watch it at all. Just donate now. Booksandbricks.org. Yeah, that is a lot of begging. You're absolutely right, Dante. I don't like doing it. But the fact of the matter is, people need the money. They are hurting right now. And in economics times like this, the billionaires make billions, and those without the billions suffer. That's just the way it is. Yeah, was it a bowl cut? It probably... Very likely. Whatever the cheapest option was when I was a kid, that's the haircut that I got. But yeah, that was me as a kid with my mixed race family in Africa. Let's just check one more thing here. There's been some discussion on the board here. Yeah, that's Kevin Lee Granddad that we saw. The chat's going to you guys. There's too many of you in here. All right, we're going to stop the broadcast now. Thank you very much for everyone for watching. We'll be doing this for the next debate. Again, we got that charity thing coming up on Saturday. I'm going to keep mentioning it because we got to get $45,000, and that's a big deal. Oh, thank you, Lizzie Dog, if you're talking about me being handsome. I appreciate that. Jade, if you're pretty good, will you cut mine? I do need a haircut. Actually, no. If we can raise $1,000, I will let Kevin Lee Daughter cut my hair. I have no problem with that. And oh man, do I need a cut. It is, oh God, what touches my ears constantly, kills me. Good night, Chris. Rich, thank you very much. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you'd like to support the broadcast, this sort of thing, we'll be doing this for the next couple of debates as well. Go to kevinleefather.com. You can become a patron there, or just send me some money directly. PayPal.me/KevinLeeDad. Venmo, Kevin-Williams-157. They're up there the whole time. Follow me on the YouTubes, youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. Subscribe, hit the bell for, we'll get notified whenever we go live. I'm on Twitter as @KevinLeeFather. Most importantly, tell a friend. We had a ton of people watching today. I could see at one point we were in the millions. That might be a lie, but I figured it's a night for lying. Why not? I'm going to stop down so I can get this up on the YouTube as quickly as possible, because that's where it's going to get the views and bring in the cha-ching. And that's what I'm all about. It's really why I'm doing this, right? You guys know me. It's all acting. It's just not good acting. Guys, you guys have been wonderful. And it was nice that it was on a debate stage instead of at the White House, because, at the White House, it would have ended up...
Where are you going? Where are you going?
Hold on. We're not going anywhere. We are not leaving yet. I have some announcements to make. I just got a text. Heather Mays donated $102.75. Thank you so much, Heather Mays. Marcy and Maurice out in Hawaii, $102.75. What is the $102.75? What is that? What's the significance? Phyllis Hatch, $102.75. I don't know if these numbers are correct. This is a text that the organizers just sent me. Thank you. Oh, 102.75. What is the 10? 27? I don't know what the significance of that is. Guys, what is the 102.75? Tell me what that means. Oh, okay, that's what it is. $100. Thank you so much. You have to add for to cover the fees. Okay, I get that. If you donate through PayPal, I don't know. So they are offsetting. Okay, they just texted me saying those are offsetting processing fees. I thought there was some number like 420 that you guys were all doing. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Heather. Thank you very much, Marcy. Thank you, Phyllis. And of course, thank you, Maurice, for telling Marcy to do it and being the man, the head of the household. Who was it? Who was doing the head of the household? Oh, what is her? Jenna Ellis. Jenna Ellis is one of Trump's personal attorneys. And every time I see her, I follow her on the Twitters, and every time I see her tweet, I literally click on it saying, oh, this is going to be stupid. This is going to be, because it is every single time. And yeah, I'm not even going to do it. But head of the household, go look her up. Jenna Ellis on the Twitters. She's great. It's awesome because everything she touches is complete nonsense. So good times, guys. PayPal is best if you don't want a third of it to go to YouTube. None of it goes to YouTube as far as I know, Jade. If you donate through the site booksandbricks.org. Again, guys, you guys are the best. Here are some more closing credits for you. Lizzie says, I'm going to donate $113.20 for voting day. That is a good idea. 11/3/20. That is a wonderful idea, and I fully support that. And that I could figure out. My phone got upset by that. Okay, you're all good, guys. Have a great night. I got to put this up on the YouTubes because that's how it works.
Kevin, thanks for that.